The first sequence this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 701, The Machiavellian Puzzle. It's such a dark environment, and it's a very strange place in itself. Now suddenly someone jumps out and appears in a way that you can't understand at all. It's no wonder that the people of Spark Company are scared. Anyone would be scared. First of all, the atmosphere is wrong. Ren Xiaosu looked at the members of Spark Company and said while jumping rope, "Wait a moment, don't leave. I'll talk to you after I finish jumping." The members of Spark Company were as if they were facing a great enemy, but they just couldn't understand what Ren Xiaosu meant. One of them said, "Who are you and why are you here?" "We are the T3 early morning team of Spark Company. If you came out of the mountains, then we should be friends." Before, members of Spark Company were killed by monsters in the mountains. This is not uncommon, so they are afraid that the laboratory in the mountains will release some monsters that do not distinguish between friend and foe. As a result, Ren Xiaosu is silent at this time. After 2 seconds, he sighed and said, "Don't say anything yet. I've lost count. Wait until I finish jumping rope before talking, otherwise I'm going to kill someone." He had just jumped more than 200 times. When the people from the fire company interrupted him, he actually forgot how many times he had jumped. He could only start counting from 200 again to avoid affecting the completion of the task. The members of the fire company were silent for a while. They just came here to collect prey for tarantulas. Although they had received training in combat, they had always been like chores in the mountains. When they encountered the legendary monster in the mountains, they didn't even have the courage to resist. At this time, they had already realized that the boy in front of them must be a freak from the mountains. Any normal person outside would not be like Ren Xiaosu. If Chang Yu heard this in his heart, Chang Yu would probably be excited to shake hands with him. After more than 10 seconds, Ren Xiaosu stopped. He looked at the members of the fire company and found that the knives in their hands were hanging down. This was a subconscious action without any intention of fighting, as if they were at a loss after giving up resistance. Ren Xiaosu pondered for a moment and asked, "What is your black box for?" "It is used to play recorded sounds. It is said that it was developed by the mountain laboratory specifically for tarantulas. And these tarantulas are really afraid of this sound and run away when they hear it," a member of the fire company explained. "When were these tarantulas put here?" Ren Xiaosu asked. "Last year. This is used to target outsiders." Ren Xiaosu pretended to be in the same group as the other party and said, "Targeting Anjing Temple. That's not very clear. We T3 sequence know very little. You might as well go back to the mountain and ask those big shots in charge of strategy," said a member of the Spark Company. "Just a few months ago, the higher-ups suddenly told us to come and check every 3 days. There will be many people coming to the door. Not only are there bird-catching spiders here, but there are also in other places. T31901 and I were only recently transferred to Shenqi Mountain." Ren Xiaosu frowned. A few months ago, the Spark Company told them that someone would come to the door, which meant that the plan of Anjing Temple was actually deliberately guided by the Spark Company. His previous guess was not wrong. The Spark also hoped that the extraordinary people would fall into the trap. So, the Anjing Temple and the Fire Tribe were pitting each other, and it seemed that both organizations suffered losses, but in fact, the biggest losses were still those financial groups that fanned the flames. "Did you see that the people caught by the bird spider this time were all from the financial group?" Wait, Ren Xiaosu suddenly thought, if Wang's target is the entire Central Plains, or even the entire Barrier Alliance including the Southwest and Northwest, and Anjing Temple has reached a cooperative relationship with Wang, then this time, will Anjing Temple's purpose be to lure in the financial group's masters and help Wang eliminate some potential threats? It must be said that the minds of these power seekers are too complicated. Ren Xiaosu is far behind others in this field. In fact, no matter who is in the vortex, they have several purposes for doing something. Ren Xiaosu is ashamed of himself. At this time, the member of the Spark Company in front of him suddenly asked, "Which laboratory did you come from?" Ren Xiaosu answered for safety reasons, "Laboratory number 1. But Ren Xiaosu found that the other party's face changed after he finished speaking. A member of the Spark Company raised his knife again. "There are only labs number 2 and number 7 in this mountain. Where's lab number 1?" Ren Xiaosu is stunned for a moment. Where's lab number 1? Lab number 1 was destroyed in the disaster a long time ago, the member of the Spark Company sneered. Ren Xiaosu asked too many questions just now, but the monsters in the mountain should know these questions better than them. Earlier, everyone was confused by Ren Xiaosu's weird behavior, but now they finally realized that Ren Xiaosu was not like those freaks at all. Except for skipping rope and singing, he was no different from normal people in other aspects. This is someone who came in from outside Shenqi Mountain. As he said, the people of the Spark Company slowly surrounded Ren Xiaosu, and then they were all killed by Ren Xiaosu. Smart people can't live too long, Ren Xiaosu sighed as he looked at the bodies of the 5 people. They were just 5 members of the early morning group. I don't know where they got the courage to surround and kill me. Even if dusk came, it wouldn't work. 5 people might still have some hope at dawn. Ren Xiaosu turned his head and looked at the more than 10 white cocoons hanging on the stone wall. After he controlled Lao Su to leave, he cut the spider silk that was pulling the cocoons with a knife and rescued the people who were captured. After cutting open a cocoon, Ren Xiaosu found that these people were still breathing evenly, and even their complexion didn't change much. It seemed that they could still be saved. Ren Xiaosu remembered that tarantulas were poisonous, but they would inject toxins to soften the prey after the prey died, and then absorb the liquid. It shouldn't have reached that stage yet. He tied up the cocoons one by one with ropes, and then walked back like dragging a string of candied haws, holding the black box in his hand to prevent the tarantulas from chasing him. When they were going back, Ren Xiaosu did not drag the unconscious people over by himself, but asked Lao Su to drag them to Chengyu, and then Lao Su disappeared in the white mist again. Chengyu looked at the back of the white mask leaving, thinking that he had not had time to say hello just now, and the other party left. This white mask, with its mysterious and powerful image, was indelible in Chengyu's mind. Sometimes he would sigh that even between extraordinary people, there was such a big gap. He did not dare to move here, but the other party chased to the spider's nest and rescued everyone else. Ren Xiaosu did not come back slowly until the people in the cocoon began to wake up. Chengyu said unhappily, "Where did you go?" "I went to jump rope," Ren Xiaosu answered confidently. Chapter 702 Resting on the spot. No one would believe that he went out to jump rope. How could he go out to jump rope at this time? Chengyu's assistant whispered. Chengyu asked woodenly, why? Did he jump rope at different times? If someone else had said this, Chengyu would definitely not believe Ren Xiaosu's words and excuses. Going out to jump rope at this critical moment? How is it possible? But for some reason, when the person who used this excuse was Ren Xiaosu, Chengyu felt that he could not completely deny it, because the other party was indeed ill at any time regardless of the occasion. However, Chengyu didn't want to focus on Ren Xiaosu at all. He wanted to know who the white mask was protecting in the team. Chengyu had seen the fighting power of the white mask with his own eyes, so when it came to the real crisis, he followed the person being protected, so that he could take advantage of the other party's light and be protected by the white mask together with the other party. It's not that Chengyu is useless. As a member of Anjing Temple, he only thinks about how to seek protection from others every day. The main reason is that his fighting power is not strong, and the Holy Mountain is too dangerous. While everyone was rescuing the wounded in the cocoon, Luolan and Ren Xiaosu hid in the white mist and whispered, "Why save them?" Ren Xiaosu glanced at him and said, "We're starting to reduce our numbers so early. If the people behind us don't want to enter the Holy Mountain, then I can only go in by myself." In fact, Ren Xiaosu knew that Luolan and Zhouqi wanted these people from the consortium to die, otherwise why would Zhouqi stand by and watch the whole process? You have to know that Zhouqi's ability is water-based. This white mist looks weird, but it is still water vapor after all. It can be said that this Shenqi Mountain is half of Zhouqi's home court. In addition, Zhouqi is also one of the first batch of awakened extraordinary people. His physical fitness and mental strength are both first class, so dealing with some bird-catching spiders is no problem at all. Ren Xiaosu even felt that Zhouqi had already known that the enemy was a group of spiders based on his perception of water vapor and white mist, but the other party just did nothing. Ren Xiaosu could also understand that to Luolan, other consortiums were enemies. Just now, he could help the Qing family weaken the enemy by doing nothing, so why not? It was just that Ren Xiaosu had to go into the Holy Mountain to save Yanluan, so he had to cherish every bit of strength here. "I understand," Luolan nodded, and he whispered, Is that white mask your friend? Ren Xiaosu thought for a moment and said, yes. He didn't explain the details, but there was no need to keep some things from Luolan. Only then did Luolan finally feel relieved. Before, you said you couldn't protect me, I thought. Ren Xiaosu was surprised. When did I say that? Luolan was stunned for a moment. That day I made gestures to you. Didn't you call me to go to the toilet? Ren Xiaosu asked puzzledly. Do you have other meanings? Luolan. At this time, someone shouted in the white fog, wake up, wake up. They woke up. Ren Xiaosu took the lead and walked towards the sound. At this time, everyone gathered next to the cocoons. Someone had already cut open all the cocoons. The people inside had their eyes open, but they couldn't speak or move. Only their eyes were still moving back and forth. In any case, it was very lucky to be able to save a life. Ren Xiaosu looked around and silently memorized those who didn't look embarrassed at all. There were more than 60 people in the whole team, and 7 of them looked fine. These 7 people were very likely extraordinary people, including Wang Yun, who had secretly drawn the mark. Of course, the other party might not have encountered the attack of the tarantula. Why can't they move? Cheng Yu's assistant asked. Ren Xiaosu stood up. Maybe it's because I don't have a talent for performance yet. You step back a little, I'll show you a split. Everyone was shocked. You really have a talent for performance. Cheng Yu chose to ignore Ren Xiaosu and said to everyone take turns to carry these wounded who can't move. We can't stay in Shenqi Mountain for long. It's better to leave as soon as possible. As a result, Luolan stopped him. Wait, I suggest camping on the spot and building fortifications on the spot. Why? Cheng Yu frowned and asked. First of all, you definitely won't be able to leave Shenqi Mountain in a day or two. Luolan looked at the big liar. We have to listen to the guide. Ask the guide how long it will take us to leave here. Even if we go at full speed, it will take more than 2 days, said the big liar. So, instead of letting everyone take turns carrying more than a dozen wounded people and eventually exhausting the other's strength, it's better to stay here and wait for them to recover, because you don't know what's waiting for you ahead. You must face the danger in the best condition. Luolan may not understand other things, but he is good at how to guide the team to make choices in a crisis. Cheng Yu thought for a moment and asked, what if those spiders come again? The white mask was able to rescue people from the nest, which means that the spider nest is probably finished, Luolan analyzed, so there's no need to worry about the spiders. Luolan made this decision based on his understanding of Ren Xiaosu. Ren Xiaosu had just gone out, and he certainly didn't believe that Ren Xiaosu went to jump rope. Seeing that he was so calm now, at least the spiders were definitely not a threat. Cheng Yu looked at the others. What do you think? I support resting on the spot. I also think that since the white mask rescued people, those spiders must be finished, Song Qiao said. And the most important thing is that Song Qiao's assistant is still paralyzed, which means he has lost a lot of assistance, so he is not willing to move forward at all. Among the people present, there are many people who think the same as Song Qiao. I want to ask a question. Cheng Yu looked at everyone. Who is the white mask protecting? Can he join the team directly so that we can advance and retreat together? He is alone in the wilderness. It would be troublesome if he is attacked while sleeping. After joining the team, everyone can take care of each other. As a result, no one responded to Cheng Yu. Cheng Yu carefully looked at everyone's expressions, trying to find the person protected by the white mask. When his eyes swept towards Ren Xiaosu, he looked away. He subconsciously thought that the white mask would protect no one but a psychopath. At that moment, Cheng Yu felt that the most suspicious people were Wang Yun and another middle-aged man. Both of them looked fearless. After the chaos, these two were the calmest. Seeing that no one responded to him, Cheng Yu shouted to Bai Wu, I know you are nearby. Since our target is the Spark Company, why don't we go together? There's only one update today, and I have asked for a day off tomorrow. In the end, I decided to make some adjustments. The plot has reached almost halfway, and I am worried that what I write later will not live up to the hard work in the previous part. I'm sorry, everyone. Chapter 703, Fulfilling Teammates' Wishes. Cheng Yu's voice calling out to the white mask spread through the white mist. Everyone held their breath. They also wanted to know if the white mask could go with them. If there was such a supernatural person in the team, it would definitely be safer. No one doubted the strength of the white mask. After all, in the previous battle, when everyone was busy protecting themselves, The other party had already rescued more than a dozen teammates from the spider's nest. But how could Ren Xiaosu let Lao Su stay in the team to protect this group of people? Lao Su's biggest role now is as a scout. An unkillable scout walking alone in the wilderness can help Ren Xiaosu avoid too many dangers. Time passed little by little, and seeing that the white mask had not shown up, Cheng Yu felt a little disappointed. Although I don't know who he is protecting, since we are in the same team, I hope we can take care of each other in the future. The assistant next to Cheng Yu whispered. Just now, as soon as the white mask appeared, the boy jumping rope followed him and left. Could he be here to protect him? Impossible. Cheng Yu shook his head. How can such a person be protected by a master like the white mask? But we can't underestimate this boy. I feel that he has a close relationship with Luolan. Just now when Luolan encountered a crisis, his first reaction was to stand behind him. Then do we still need to persuade the white mask to join the team? Asked the assistant. Forget it, Cheng Yu sighed. We can't force that kind of person. But Cheng Yu gave up, which didn't mean that everyone else gave up. A middle-aged man looked at everyone in the team and said, I know that this white mask must be related to someone present. How about this? I'll pay 5 million, and you let him join the team. You don't have to deliberately protect anyone, just stay in the team. This request was very strange. Ren Xiaosu thought. The other party seemed to be angry and spent 5 million to ask the white mask to show up, but there was no other condition. Isn't this money given for free? Does this middle-aged man have other purposes? Wang Yun on the side laughed and said, Brother, you are too stingy. Who would care about 5 million for a real master? If the other party wants to show up for 5 million, I, Wang Yun, am willing to walk upside down for a day. Suddenly, the palace in Ren Xiaosu's mind spoke, and his expression became extremely strange. The mission is to fulfill the wishes of teammates. Ren Xiaosu was thinking. The palace did not say whose wish was to be fulfilled. Was it the middle-aged man's wish to let Lao Su join the team, or Wang Yun's wish to stand on his head? However, this mission seemed to be easy to complete. In the white fog, everyone heard footsteps. They turned their heads to look at the source of the sound, and saw a figure slowly becoming clearer, as if approaching. Wang Yun. Lao Su walked up to the middle-aged man and stretched out his hand. The middle-aged man did not break his promise, but really took out a small box. Inside is Wang's bank card with an anonymous account, and there is exactly 5 million in the account. Lao Su nodded, and then looked at Wang Yun calmly. Wang Yun was not feeling well at the time. Why did he feel that the other party seemed to appear suddenly just to make him stand on his head? Exclamation mark. In fact, if the palace announced the completion of the mission after the middle-aged man paid the money, Ren Xiaosu would not have to force Wang Yun to stand on his head. But didn't the mission not yet completed? As everyone was watching, Wang Yun gritted his teeth and sneered. Okay, you're targeting me, right? After saying that, he actually stood upside down with his hands on the ground. Not to mention that Wang Yun's balance is pretty good, he looks very smooth walking upside down. At this time, Cheng Yu looked at Lao Su in doubt, and then looked at Ren Xiaosu who was not far away. He always felt that the style of the white mask made him feel inexplicably familiar. At a certain moment, Cheng Yu was a little scared. He was afraid that the other party would suddenly start singing nursery rhymes with Ren Xiaosu. However, Lao Su's joining the team made everyone feel a little relieved, as if they had received a great boost. The main reason was that Lao Su's reputation had been booming recently, and there were still too few extraordinary people who had faced T5 head-on and won. Ren Xiaosu looked at Wang Yun silently, and he found that Wang Yun's expression was extremely ferocious, as if he was holding a grudge. But Ren Xiaosu didn't care. It was Lao Su who asked him to stand upside down. What did it have to do with him, Ren Xiaosu? At this time, the relationship between the teammates and the team has gradually become clear. Luolan and Ren Xiaosu are in the same group. Wang Yun has hidden 4 teammates in the team, and one of them is likely to be a supernatural person. The remaining people are roughly divided into 6 groups, with the largest team having 9 people and the smallest having 3 people. Normally, these people would be like strangers to each other unless they encounter some danger, but just now, they all subconsciously fought in groups. This is everyone's instinctive reaction when facing danger. The wounded in the cocoon has been rescued. Although they can't move yet, someone has taken the initiative to take care of them. In a place like this, who would be so kind to take care of someone who is not related to them? It must be teammates who will help. While everyone was taking care of the wounded, Wang Yun quietly stood upside down and entered the white fog. Anyway, it was still foggy, and even if there was one less person in the team, he would not be discovered. After leaving the crowd, Wang Yun did a front flip and landed steadily on the ground, saying coldly, "I, Wang Yun, have suffered such a great humiliation, and there will be retribution later." He quietly returned to the road he came from, and then made 2 marks on the road he made with compressed biscuit crumbs. One was a horizontal bar, and the other was a concentric circle. The first mark meant that the crisis ahead was temporarily resolved, and the second one meant that he needed supplies from the rear. You have to know that in order to make marks along the way, the dry food he brought had been almost scattered. Wang Yun calculated that his food supply could only last for 1 more day at most. However, this was the benefit of having a support force behind him. He didn't need to worry about supplies like others. As a result, the next night, Wang Yun sat by the campfire and watched others eat, but he had nothing. Ren Xiaosu asked him why he didn't eat. Wang Yun smiled and said that he was not hungry. He couldn't explain that his dry food was used to make marks. During this day, Ren Xiaosu and his team were always resting in place, waiting for the teammates paralyzed by the spider venom to resume action. During this period, Wang Yun walked into the white fog alone more than once, and then took a small bamboo whistle to blow the sound of insects flapping wings, but he never waited for his backup. Wang Yun always felt that something was wrong, but he didn't know where the problem was. Did the brothers retreat because they felt it was too dangerous? No, after traveling all over the country for so many years, these brothers are still very reliable, otherwise he would not have placed his life on them. There must be something that delayed them, maybe they will arrive tomorrow. Chapter 704, Conspiracy. While Wang Yun was starving, the middle-aged man next door who had paid 5 million to invite Laosu to join the team was trying to get close to Laosu with the food he had just heated. But no matter what the middle-aged man said, Laosu never responded. First of all, Laosu really couldn't speak, and Ren Xiaosu really didn't bother to pay attention to him. The middle-aged man muttered for a long time, saying that he hoped they could cooperate with each other and conspire for big things, and he would have other rewards afterwards. Ren Xiaosu thought, he never cared about rewards afterwards, who knew if you could get out alive afterwards? However, Ren Xiaosu quietly looked at the middle-aged man from the side. He was always a little confused. The other party spent 5 million just to keep Laosu in the team. Although the other party tried to get close to him later, Ren Xiaosu always felt that things were not that simple. The middle-aged man brought the food to Laosu, and Ren Xiaosu controlled Laosu to take it and put it aside. Then, the middle-aged man brought food to Laosu for 3 meals a day. But the middle-aged man didn't know that Laosu was just a shadow and didn't need to eat at all. So, when the others saw Laosu put the food sent by the middle-aged man aside and didn't even touch it, they all thought that this white mask was really difficult to deal with and had a heart of stone. Only Wang Yun looked at the food around Laosu, his eyes turned green. Wang Yun had looked at the marketplace 5 or 6 times in the past day and a half, but no one responded. At this time, his heart had sunk to the bottom, and he wondered if his backup had an accident. If more than 200 brothers were fine, they would not have abandoned him, so they must have met with misfortune. Wang Yun was not like the others in the consortium who treated his subordinates like ants. These more than 200 people had followed him through life and death for so many years, and they had already developed feelings for him. Now that the other party's life and death were unknown, Wang Yun, as a leader, was overwhelmed with grief for a while, and could not stop. Moreover, he didn't even know who killed his brothers. Of course, Wang Yun didn't know at this moment that his group of brothers were enjoying a good meal 40 kilometers north of the black market. The brothers had become addicted to hunting these days. They were free anyway. Wang Yun looked at the food beside Laosu and silently swallowed his saliva. It wasn't that he was useless, but he was really a little panicked because of hunger. This Shenxi mountain was also very strange. Not even a living creature was seen nearby. It was probably because the appearance of alien creatures such as bird-catching spiders destroyed the species balance of the entire Shenxi mountain. This kind of situation often happened in the past. For example, in the early years, Zhou was located in the south with rich aquatic products. Zhou's number 73 barrier was even located at the intersection of 3 rivers. As a result, Wang's spies secretly released a large number of scavenger fish fry into Zhou's water system, and also quietly released water hyacinths into the waters, resulting in a year-on-year reduction in production in Zhou's waters. For this matter, Zhou scolded Wang in his official media newspaper for more than half a year. Now, this tarantula is also an alien species to Shenqi Mountain, and it is probably transformed by the fire company. It really has no natural enemies at all, and directly turned Shenqi Mountain into a wasteland. Wang Yun found that there were no birds in Wuzhe Mountain before, which was actually caused by the tarantula. In the camp at night, several bonfires made the fog much thinner. At least in the camp, everyone can see each other clearly. Wang Yun nestled in his tent, silently looking at the food in front of Lao Su through the gap in the tent curtain. Until the dead of night, suddenly an airflow appeared out of thin air and slowly rolled towards Lao Su. However, the airflow did not touch Lao Su's body, but quietly rolled up two compressed biscuits, as if they were blown into the air by the wind, and flew back to Wang Yun's tent as light as nothing. While using his ability, Wang Yun also looked at Lao Su, and when he found that the other party had no reaction, he was relieved. After all, the white mask forced him to stand upside down yesterday. If he was caught stealing other people's food now, it would be too embarrassing. Wang Yun recalled that he hadn't been so embarrassed for many years. But he had to survive. He had to find out what happened to his more than 200 brothers and avenge them. Thinking of this, Wang Yun gently opened the compressed biscuit and stuffed it into his mouth. At this time, he paused and wondered if this thing was poisonous. But Wang Yun was too hungry. He comforted himself that this food was not for him. The middle-aged man looked like a dog licking. It was obvious that he wanted to curry favor with the white mask. There was no need to poison it, right? But Wang Yun felt something was wrong as soon as he took the first bite. He quickly spit out the biscuit, but at this time, the nerve-suppressing toxin in the biscuit had already hit him. His mouth was numb and his mind began to gradually become confused. With the last remaining consciousness, Wang Yun stared at the compressed biscuits in his hand, then looked at Lao Su. Fuck. Then he closed his eyes and his consciousness fell into darkness. Not far from Wang Yun's tent, the middle-aged man who had delivered food to Lao Su was sitting in the tent, holding a gun equipped with a thermal imaging device in his hand. The gun was loaded with anesthetic bullets, and he aimed at Lao Su across the tent. Using thermal imaging to aim is entirely to prevent Lao Su from noticing his attack intention in advance. Across the tent, no one can see the process of his aiming. The middle-aged man knew very well that a powerful superhuman like the white mask could not be hit as long as the trajectory was seen. Facing such a superhuman, one must be cautious. But the middle-aged man was suddenly surprised. There was not even a shadow on the thermal imaging screen. What's going on? Is the other party a human? Or is the other party's ability interfering with the thermal imaging? But the middle-aged man didn't have time to think too much. He had to act tonight and couldn't make any mistakes. The middle-aged man simply aimed at Lao Su based on his feeling. The distance between the two sides was only about 7 or 8 meters at most, so he could not miss. With a whoosh, the needle-like anesthetic bullet pierced through the tent and pierced Lao Su's body. Ren Xiaosu opened his eyes in the tent, but he did not move. He just controlled Lao Su to slowly fall to the ground. The next moment, the middle-aged man rushed out of the tent and ran towards Lao Su, dragging the fallen Lao Su to the ground and ran into the darkness outside the camp. The power displayed by the other party was clearly that of an extraordinary person. This movement woke up many people, and the people who were originally responsible for the night watch watched the incident, but no one had the intention to take action. They watched the middle-aged man drag Lao Su out of the camp, as if he was going to run into the darkness outside. The middle-aged man took out a signal gun from his ribs and fired it into the sky. In an instant, everyone in the camp understood that the middle-aged man had reinforcements outside. Now, everyone was even more reluctant to rashly walk into the darkness outside to save people. There will be another update in the evening. Chapter 705, Fire Number. Although everyone in the camp hoped to have the white mask as a strong supporter to enter the holy mountain together, now that the other party has capsized in the gutter, there is no use for him. There were dense footsteps in the distance, as if the middle-aged man's reinforcements had arrived to support him. Everyone in the camp felt sorry that such a powerful extraordinary person like the white mask had also capsized in the gutter. With the opponent's combat power, there are already very few people who can match him in a head-on battle. Such an extraordinary person should have been prominent in the world, but he died halfway. Maybe he was too arrogant, so he was plotted against. I'm afraid he is in danger, someone said. Alice, too confident. Prepare for battle. I think the other party might also attack us. For a moment, everyone became nervous. But to everyone's surprise, at this time, there was a sudden wailing and gunfire from the direction where the middle-aged man left. Ah! A scream came, and everyone in the camp trembled in shock. Ah! Another scream came, and everyone looked at the night silently, and their heartstrings fluctuated with the screams. Cheng Yu could tell that the scream was from the middle-aged man. As the screams rose and fell, Cheng Yu said with pity, "This is too miserable." Everyone didn't expect such a reversal. Wasn't the white mask already shot by the tranquilizer gun? How did the situation suddenly reverse? Looking at the current situation, it was clearly the middle-aged man who was being hung up and beaten. Someone suddenly regretted it. He was afraid that everything the white mask had just shown was fake. If he had lent a hand at the critical moment, wouldn't he have gained a very valuable friendship? Unfortunately, this assumption was not true. The screams gradually subsided. Ren Xiaosu, who had never even left the tent in the camp, was a little emotional. He had guessed that the middle-aged man was the spy planted by Huazhan in the team. The other party had long been prepared to cooperate with the inside and outside to eliminate them, but they were afraid of the white mask so they didn't take action. Today, the middle-aged man first sent food, and then saw that Laosu didn't eat, so he simply used the tranquilizer gun. Because he was told to get the gene sample of the white mask, the middle-aged man simply dragged away Laosu from the ground, just like dragging a death god for himself. Ren Xiaosu felt that with so many extraordinary people in the camp, the middle-aged man would not be so miserable if he changed his target. Of course, he could understand that it was probably because the Spark Company wanted to get the gene sample of the white mask too much, so they were so eager to take action in advance. The battle had stopped, and everyone in the camp was eagerly looking at the direction where the battle broke out. Slowly, a figure slowly appeared in the mist. The white mask slowly looked around everyone in the camp, as if silently laughing at them for not saving the dying. You know, there are more than a dozen people here who were saved by Laosu himself. At this moment, these people did not dare to look at the white mask, feeling guilty. However, Ren Xiaosu did not continue to show off, but controlled Laosu to throw a few badges on the ground. The badges were hollowed out and carved with a flame. This was what Laosu had just taken from the enemy he killed, which also proved that the middle-aged man was the spy of the Spark Company. Cheng Yu walked over and picked up the Spark's badge. You really are a Spark member. In fact, everyone had thought about it a long time ago. Since so many people from the consortium can sneak into the team and try to fish in troubled waters, why can't people from the Spark Company come in? Facts have proved many times that the person in charge of tactics and strategy in the Spark Company is very shrewd. Maybe the other party has already prepared a backup plan, waiting for Njingxi to continue to make a move. Thinking of this, many people in the team wanted to retreat. If it weren't for the superiors in the consortium who wanted to live forever and gave them a death order, I'm afraid they would have left long ago. Cheng Yu silently looked at the other people in the camp. Everyone was sitting or standing and looking at this side. He suddenly wondered, are there still people from the Spark Company here? Everyone knows that everyone in Hozhen Company needs to have their own number tattooed under their ribs, Cheng Yu said in a deep voice. This is the recognized symbol of Hozhen Company. Whether he is T31092 or T5102, this number must be under the left ribs. So in order to avoid the presence of Hozhen Company's spies in the team, we need to check ourselves today to see if everyone has such tattoos under the left and right ribs. It is no secret that members of Hozhen Company have numbers under their left ribs. Many people know that after entering Hozhen, after confirming that the genes can be modified, tattooing the number is the first step and it is inevitable. Moreover, Hozhen's method of confirming the number is also amazing, because he only detects your gene sequence to confirm whether you will eventually be T3 or T5, and clearly know the height you can reach in the future, and rarely make mistakes. Hozhen Company has always believed that talent determines everyone's level, and the classes from T1 to T5 exist naturally. As for whether there are higher levels above T5, outsiders don't know, but some people have speculated that there may be T6. Now, although Cheng Yu's self-examination violates each other's privacy, no one refuses, and there is no reason to refuse. Men check each other's men, women check each other's women, and no one wants to have someone from the fire company around them. The self-examination went very smoothly. During this process, Cheng Yu and his assistant were always on guard against the escape of people from the fire company, but the result was that after a full inspection, no one with a tattoo under the ribs was found. Cheng Yu thought about it and suddenly said to Lao Su, "Can you please check the body of the middle-aged man just now to see if he has a tattoo number?" Lao Su nodded and walked out. After a while, he came back with a piece of leather with the words T31029 tattooed on it. Cheng Yu breathed a sigh of relief. The crisis is temporarily resolved. He asked Lao Su to check because he was worried that the people trained by the fire company to be spies would not have tattoos. After all, it is well known that members of the fire company have tattoos. What if this is common knowledge that the fire company deliberately gave you? Then stab you with a knife when you are not paying attention, which is also normal. But now it seems that all the other parties do have tattoos, at least the middle-aged man has one. Wait, why is there one person missing? Someone carefully counted the number of people. We can't miss anyone in this inspection. There is one male missing. Could he have escaped? Ren Xiaosu looked around at everyone after hearing this. At this time, he suddenly realized that the one missing was the young man who had secretly marked before. Cheng Yu also discovered that Wang Yun had disappeared. He walked to the door of Wang Yun's tent and opened the curtain. He was shocked to see Wang Yun lying in the tent with foam at the mouth. There was a piece of compressed biscuit with a bite taken out of it next to him. What's going on? Cheng Yu touched Wang Yun's carotid artery. He's still alive, but how could he suddenly be poisoned? Chapter 706 Singing Nursery Rhymes Together. Wang Yun had been in a coma for quite some time. Before the middle-aged man attacked Lao Su, he began to foam at the mouth. Now that a small battle was over, he had not yet woken up. Fortunately, the middle-aged man did not seem to want to hurt Lao Su's life, so the poison in the biscuits was only to suppress nerves, not to kill. A group of people surrounded the unconscious Wang Yun. Among them, 4 people were Wang Yun's subordinates. They did not pretend and hurried to check Wang Yun's physical condition until the 4 people confirmed that Wang Yun was just in a coma. They were relieved. After the inspection was completed, the 4 people looked at each other. After entering the team, everyone remained in a state of not knowing each other, and they did not even communicate. But they did not find anything abnormal about Chief Wang Yun in the past few days. How could he suddenly eat a compressed biscuit and get poisoned? Could it be that Chief Wang Yun's other 2 competitors in Kong's did it? Although they left Kong's, they still had to apply for supplies from the Intelligence System Logistics Department. With the means of those 2 competitors, it was not difficult to poison the supplies. Now is the fierce competition again. Poisoning the opponent directly is a bit crazy, but it is not impossible. Wang Yun did not tell them that he had been hungry for a day and a half. After all, as a leader, this kind of thing is a bit embarrassing. Wang Yun thought that it was still easy for him to solve this kind of thing. Therefore, his subordinates did not think about it anymore. They just thought that the leader might have been plotted against by political opponents. One of them whispered, "The leader and our supplies were mixed together before. I'm afraid there are also poisoned biscuits in our biscuits." "But nothing happened when I ate it before," one person replied. "The proportion of poisoning by the other party may not be high," the person who spoke before explained. "Maybe only 1/10 of the compressed biscuits are poisoned, but do you dare to bet your life on which one is poisoned and which one is not?" At this time, there are other people around, but these 4 people are no longer pretending. Before, they pretended to be strangers to each other. Now that the leader is in trouble, there is no need to continue pretending. "I don't know when the commander will wake up." The commander is a superhuman, so he should be fine. It was not until the next morning that Wang Yun woke up slowly. He saw 4 people guarding him and asked directly, "How long have I been unconscious?" One night, a subordinate told him what happened last night. "Commander, did you get poisoned by the compressed biscuits we brought?" Wang Yun was still a little weak. He paused and said, "Yes." He couldn't explain this yet. He used his superhuman ability to steal other people's biscuits in the middle of the night, but he got poisoned. He couldn't say such a shameful thing. At this time, some people in the camp had woken up and packed up. Wang Yun observed the camp. He knew that the 5 of them were together and must have been known by everyone in the camp. He looked at his subordinates and said, "I haven't eaten for a night. Go get me some food and water." In fact, Wang Yun didn't eat for more than 1 night. He was so hungry that he couldn't stand it. Anyway, their identities had been exposed, so he quickly got some food from his subordinates. As a result, the subordinate replied, "Sir, Let us get you some water first. We can't eat our food anymore. What if other things are also poisonous? I will go and dispose of the remaining supplies now. Dispose of? Wang Yun was stunned for a moment. Yes, you are poisoned this time. It must be your competitors who poison our food, so we can't eat our food, the subordinate said as a matter of course, but it doesn't matter. We will go out in the morning to find if there is any food nearby. Don't worry, survival in the wilderness will not be difficult for us. As he said, the subordinate went to throw away all the food they brought. Wang Yun was a little tearful at this moment. He really didn't know how to explain it, and he just admitted that he was poisoned by eating his own biscuits. The food he brought was thrown away by his subordinates, and there was not even a living thing in Shenxi Mountain. Wang Yun felt that he had to leave here as soon as possible. No matter where he went, at least he had to go to a place where he could find food. If he, Wang Yun, became the first superhuman to starve to death in this superhuman era, he might as well commit suicide now. Help me up, Wang Yun struggled to get up with the help of his subordinates. He walked to the middle of the camp and asked Cheng Yu, "What's the plan next?" Luo Lan beside him laughed happily, "We are ready to leave now. Those who were caught by the bird spider before can also move slowly. Although their movements are not smooth yet, I am afraid that this place has been targeted by the fire company and we can't stay here for long. What's wrong with your poison? You look pale. Do you want to rest for another morning and wait for you?" "No need to wait," Wang Yun said firmly, "let's leave Shenxi Mountain now." "Pretty strong," Luo Lan muttered softly, and went to find Zhou Qi to pack up. Wang Yun almost vomited blood when he heard Luo Lan's words. "Isn't this strong forced?" Exclamation mark. At this time, Ren Xiaosu looked at Wang Yun and others, and then whispered to Yang Xiaojin, "I just saw this guy's subordinates throw away all the food. Did someone really poison them?" "It's possible," Yang Xiaojin said indifferently, "it seems so." "Then I suddenly have a bold idea. They don't have food, but I still have a lot here," Ren Xiaosu said. "Why, do you want to make money from him?" Yang Xiaojin glanced at Ren Xiaosu, "Why do you want so much money?" "Of course it's useful to have money," Ren Xiaosu said, "you don't need money to live in the future. I heard that getting married, having children, and buying a house all require money. Can I let our children live a hard life?" Yang Xiaojin rolled her eyes when she heard this. She knew that Ren Xiaosu was taking advantage of her again. She almost laughed out of anger. The guy in front of her was so timid in action, but he was really not ashamed of what he said. At this time, Ren Xiaosu walked up to Wang Yun and said, "You see, the food you brought must have been poisoned by someone. We happen to bring some extra and can sell it to you." Wang Yun's eyes lit up. "Thank you, we just need it. May I ask how much do you sell your food for?" 1 million. Ren Xiaosu was just about to say that he would sell you 50 compressed biscuits for 1 million, but he heard the palace issuing a new task. Cheng Yu was watching the fun next to him. He thought to himself that Ren Xiaosu was really bold to ask for it. 1 million is a lot of money. I'm afraid Wang Yun won't agree. Then he heard Ren Xiaosu change his words and said, "You don't need money. If you sing a nursery rhyme with me, I will give you 50 compressed biscuits." Cheng Yu. Wang Yun. There will be 2 more updates in the evening. Chapter 707 New Skills. Cheng Yu looked at Ren Xiaosu in doubt. He used to sing nursery rhymes by himself, but now he is using compressed biscuits to lure others to sing nursery rhymes with him? Exclamation mark. Thinking of this, Cheng Yu suddenly had some doubts about the future. Wang Yun's face turned pale. He was the director of the second intelligence department of the Kong family. How could he sing nursery rhymes with others for some compressed biscuits? The other party must have underestimated Wang Yun. 10 minutes later, Ren Xiaosu said loudly, "Wait, your sentence is wrong. There is a word missing. Try it again." Wang Yun, the snail carries a heavy shell. Wang Yun's subordinates looked at this scene and thought that their boss was really able to endure humiliation. In order to exchange food for them, he even sang nursery rhymes with others. Just now, the subordinates advised Wang Yun to ignore the boy, but Wang Yun said passionately that as a leader, how could he let his subordinates starve with him? He was not that kind of person. The subordinates were a little touched. It was not in vain that they had been with Wang Yun. Moreover, Wang Yun felt that if Ren Xiaosu asked him to sing by himself, he really couldn't accept it. It was like someone threw some food in front of him and said, "Give me a laugh." In this case, Wang Yun would rather starve. But the situation was a little different now. Ren Xiaosu was singing with him, so the humiliation was not so serious. He just didn't understand what was wrong with the boy in front of him. To be honest, even Ren Xiaosu himself didn't know what was wrong with his palace. The others in the camp looked at this weird scene and didn't know what to say for a long time. Luolan waited for Ren Xiaosu to finish singing and immediately shouted to everyone, "No time to lose, hurry up." Last night, Ren Xiaosu killed the people of the fire company. Luolan privately asked Ren Xiaosu how many he killed. As a result, Ren Xiaosu said that he killed dozens of people, and there should be many people from the dust group among them. This place is very close to the holy mountain. Ren Xiaosu killed so many people at the door of someone else's house. Can the fire company tolerate it? They will definitely send more people over. So if they don't leave now, they might not be able to leave. They can only leave quickly and fight a guerrilla war with the other party. Although there are dangers after entering the holy mountain, it seems better to go anywhere than to stay in this fog. The fire company clearly has a way to find them at any time in the fog, but they have no temper with the fog. Cheng Yu asked the big liar, "Have you really never been to the holy mountain?" The big liar thought for a while and said, "In fact, I have been in a little bit, but only a little bit." Cheng Yu was speechless when he looked at the big liar's appearance, and the other party didn't tell the truth. Not long after they set out, the fog on the Shenqi mountain began to dissipate gradually. Just as the big liar mentioned before, the Shenqi mountain was not always shrouded in fog. It seems that there will be a day every 3 days when the fog dissipates. Hurry up, said the big liar. Originally it was still 2 days away, but it was foggy. Now that there is no fog, let's hurry up, maybe we can get out in more than a day. After entering the mountain, I finally heard some good news. Cheng Yu sighed, as if the haze in his heart had also dissipated. He looked at Lao Su in the crowd. After last night, he had been in a state of silence. After setting off, he walked at the front of the team and had not communicated with anyone. Just as they were about to leave Shenqi Mountain, everyone heard the rustling sound of the tarantula attacking again. Everyone was very familiar with the sound, so they immediately became nervous. The sound of the joints hitting the ground made everyone feel a tingling scalp. But before the tarantulas approached, the white mask took out a small black box, and a strange sound came out of the box, which immediately scared away all the tarantulas. This surprised everyone. Some people asked what this was, but Lao Su never answered any questions. But gradually, everyone had a feeling that there seemed to be nothing that the white mask could not solve along the way. Cheng Yu felt relieved for some reason when he looked at Lao Su's back. He turned around and glanced at Ren Xiaosu and Luolan at the end of the team. He thought to himself that he didn't know what Luolan's eyes were. He actually wanted to find this young man to be his big brother. If you want to cling to someone, you have to cling to someone like White Mask. What's the matter with finding a singer and dancer? Cheng Yu suddenly felt that it was too appropriate to describe Ren Xiaosu as a singer and dancer. However, Ren Xiaosu didn't notice Cheng Yu's expression. Just when the whole team stepped onto the border between Shenqi Mountain and Shengshan, he finally heard the palace announce, "The side quest is completed." Because the host has completed all the quests perfectly, a new skill is awarded, ear cleaning. Ren Xiaosu felt refreshed when he heard the first 3 words, but he was confused when he heard the last 3 words, and even had a hint of ominous premonition. Moreover, the display grid on the wall of the palace lit up again. In that grid, there was a delicate earpick floating, and it was shining with a faint light. Ren Xiaosu's expression gradually became ferocious. Other people's skills were named Diamond Star Fist, Lush and Rising Dragon Tyrant, etc., which sounded particularly cool. Why did his skills have such a common name, ear cleaning, which made outsiders feel that he was a technician who specialized in ear cleaning in a bath center? In the future, when he fights with others, they will introduce themselves as, "I am T5 level of Dawn Breaking a Fire Company." Ren Xiaosu's self-introduction is, "Hello, technician number 001 serving you?" This sounds a bit unserious. Question mark. He asked the palace in his mind, "What is this skill for?" The palace actually replied, "No authority to tell." Ren Xiaosu couldn't help it at that time. "This is the skill you rewarded me, why can't you even tell me what it is used for?" No authority to tell. Ren Xiaosu began to feel unhappy. He didn't even care about his face to complete the task every day for 7 days. Is it easy to sing and dance? In the end, You gave him an unreliable skill and didn't even tell me what it is for? Are you worthy of me? If I need an ear spoon, I can spend a few cents to buy one. Why should I use the one from your palace? Ren Xiaosu took the ear spoon out of the palace, held it in his hand and looked at it for a while, then started to clean his ears. While he was cleaning his ears, Luolan, who was walking beside him, wanted to pat him on the shoulder, but just as his palm was about 30 centimeters away from Ren Xiaosu, it was pushed away by an invisible force. Luolan was stunned. Ren Xiaosu was also stunned. He silently looked at the ear spoon in his hand, and then remembered an old saying, "Don't touch when cleaning your ears." There will be another chapter and it will be very late, so everyone can read it tomorrow morning. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 708 Shrine. Ren Xiaosu had thought about many things about his new skill. For example, it could be a short-term boost like destroying a city, or a tool-type trap like thorn vines, or at least a potato shooter. But he never expected it to be such a weird skill. Ren Xiaosu imagined that in a battle, hundreds or thousands of people were fighting to death, and only he was standing in the battlefield picking his ears calmly. If he were an enemy, he would definitely not like him. Ren Xiaosu felt that if his enemy was still picking his ears nonchalantly when facing his threat, he would definitely be very angry. "Brother, what are you doing? We are fighting, why are you picking your ears? Show some respect, okay?" Therefore, Ren Xiaosu felt that it would be better to use this skill with caution in team battles. After all, it would be a bit too hateful. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin fell behind the team, and he wanted to try out how to use this skill when others were not paying attention. "Help me," Ren Xiaosu said as he was cleaning his ears, "use a little more force." Yang Xiaojin didn't say much after hearing this, and punched Ren Xiaosu directly. But just like Luolan hitting Ren Xiaosu just now, the white fist was blocked by an invisible force 30 centimeters in front of Ren Xiaosu. Ren Xiaosu thought that this girl was really cruel. She hit him directly in the face when she was asked to hit him. However, the fist did not stop 30 centimeters in front of him, but bounced back, making Yang Xiaojin a little unprepared and quickly released the force. Ren Xiaosu was happy. This thing actually has some reaction force? It seems that this ear cleaning skill is really an effective means of defense. "Pick up a stone and hit me," Ren Xiaosu said proudly, "use some force." "Yes," Yang Xiaojin nodded. As he spoke, Yang Xiaojin picked up a stone from the ground and threw it out. Ren Xiaosu watched the stone getting closer and closer to him. When the stone was about 30 centimeters away, he was about to say something, but he saw that the stone had broken through the 30-centimeter barrier. Bang! The stone hit Ren Xiaosu's chest, knocking him backward. The people in front heard the noise and looked back, wondering if someone from the fire company had come to attack him. As a result, Ren Xiaosu quickly stood up and said, "It's okay, I'm fine." Everyone looked at the stone still rolling on the ground, and then looked at Yang Xiaojin. It turned out that the couple was arguing, so they stopped paying attention. Ren Xiaosu frowned and looked at the stone. So the stone could hide him after it was out of his hand. In other words, his ear cleaning skill could not deal with gunfire. "You hit me with a stone," Ren Xiaosu said. Yang Xiaojin held the stone and threw it at Ren Xiaosu. This time, the ear cleaning skill was activated again, blocking Yang Xiaojin's hand 30 centimeters away. It seems that this skill is still useful for handheld weapons. Yang Xiaojin asked in a low voice, "New ability? Whose copy?" "It's not a copy, it's after the punishment these days. It's a kind of compensation," Ren Xiaosu explained. "Now it seems that this skill is only useful for close combat, and firearms can't defend against it. But who fights in close combat now? Only extraordinary people. For example, the people of Spark Company, such as Su Xianchu and others. Therefore, this skill can only be used in a specific environment against specific people, and it is far less efficient than the outer armor. Of course, there may be other uses that Ren Xiaosu has not discovered yet." Cheng Yu, who was walking in front of the team, turned around at this time. He saw that Yang Xiaojin was still holding the stone in his hand, and he sighed to his assistant, "The way young people get along with each other now is really unpredictable." When the team finally crossed the Shenqi mountain and arrived at the outermost edge of the holy mountain range, everyone stopped. It was because they were shocked to find that all the plants in the holy mountain were extremely tall. Ren Xiaosu looked at a plant that was more than 1 meter tall and whispered, "This is a coriander. How come it grows so tall?" Ren Xiaosu had seen coriander growing wildly before, but at best it was only up to the waist. He broke off a coriander leaf, but found that milky white liquid was leaking out of the broken part of the coriander branch. "It can't be eaten," Ren Xiaosu said to Yang Xiaojin. "In the wild, any plant with the milky white liquid will kill people if eaten. The plants here have evolved, but the direction of evolution is not what humans want to see. Plants also have their own defense capabilities. For example, many plants will even evolve strange flavors and toxicity to avoid being eaten by insects." At this moment, something seemed to crawl through the dense grass from below. Ren Xiaosu controlled Lao Su to rush in directly, followed by Cheng Yu and others. But after everyone pushed aside the grass and walked 100 meters inside, they finally lost it. "Look, there is a shrine here," someone said in surprise. Everyone turned around and saw a half-human high stone shrine at the feet of the man. The statue was sitting quietly in the shrine with its eyes closed and a seal on its hand. "Does anyone know this shrine? What god is it?" Cheng Yu asked. He didn't know much about religion. "I haven't seen it," everyone shook their heads. Luo Lan squatted in front of the shrine and observed happily, "This thing looks quite strange. Look, it has 6 fingers." As he spoke, everyone looked over. No wonder everyone felt something was a little awkward just now. It turned out that the hand of the shrine looked a little deformed. There was a slender finger under the other party's little finger. Someone reached out to touch the back of the shrine to see what was behind it. Generally, there might be some objects that have been blessed behind this kind of shrine. Among them, mainly jewelry, scriptures, jade, gold and silver liver and lungs, which symbolize the internal organs of the shrine. So if there are these things behind the shrine, it will be a very valuable antique if taken out. At this moment, a man stepped back in panic, then tripped over grass roots and fell to the ground. "Did you see that? It seemed to open its eyes and look at me just now." Luo Lan turned to look at the eyes of the shrine, but the other party was still closed. "You are in a trance, how can you open your eyes?" But at this moment, the man lying on the ground suddenly grabbed his throat, and 2 lines of blood and tears flowed from the corners of his eyes. This living person died suddenly in an instant. Cheng Yu was in doubt, and his assistant wanted to check but was stopped by him. It was still Ren Xiaosu who controlled Lao Su to go over and feel his pulse, and then confirmed that the other party was indeed dead. The crowd that was originally chattering suddenly became quiet, and everyone looked at the god on the shrine, as if smiling strangely. Chapter 709, Poisonous Insects. No matter who they are, as long as they are in the team entering the holy mountain, they will be wary and afraid of this holy mountain. Even Ren Xiaosu is no exception. Because no one knows what is in this mountain, and the outside world has long demonized this holy mountain. So at this moment, someone died inexplicably, and the way of death was so weird, which made everyone feel a little scared. Seeing that the 2 lines of blood and tears of the dead teammate quickly solidified, and his face became extremely gray, many people subconsciously stayed away from the shrine, and even dared not to look at the expression and eyes of the shrine, for fear that if the other party opened his eyes again, they would die. But there are also people in this team who are born to disrespect ghosts and gods. Luo Lan walked to the front of the shrine with a curse. "I don't believe in ghosts and gods. When our ancestors defeated all the monsters and demons, no one came out to protect their temples." As he said, Luo Lan kicked the shrine and knocked it down. Everyone around looked at Luo Lan speechlessly, thinking that if the gods in the shrine blamed him, he must not implicate himself. But after the shrine fell, a strange sound suddenly came out, and then a black tide surged out. Ren Xiaosu took a closer look and found that they were all strange black bugs, which he had never seen before. Seeing this, Cheng Yu immediately called a fire-type extraordinary person to burn them with flames, and those black bugs made strange squeaking sounds in the flames. But the bugs were too afraid of flames. No matter how they struggled, the only ending was a quick death. This extraordinary person had been exposed when he faced the tarantula before, so everyone already knew his identity as an extraordinary person. Luo Lan laughed beside the pile of insect corpses. "I told you that there are no ghosts and gods in this world. Look at how scared you were just now. Why did you come to the holy mountain if you were so timid?" Cheng Yu looked at Luo Lan. Boss Luo knew it was the bugs that were causing trouble. I really don't know that, Luolan laughed, but you didn't notice that the man who just died was the first to reach out to touch the treasure behind the statue. I thought at the time that there must be some poison hidden behind the statue, so he had hallucinations and thought that the shrine would open its eyes. Then he died because the toxins of the insect spread in his body. It must be said that Luolan was usually careless, but he often showed his extremely alert and meticulous mind. At this time, everyone in the team breathed a sigh of relief. Although people died this time, it sounded more reassuring to be killed by insects than by ghosts and gods. At least there was a way to deal with it. Are there any friends here who have lived in the wilderness for many years? Cheng Yu asked. I guess most people lack this kind of experience. If there are friends who are good at surviving in the wilderness, please come out and tell everyone how to avoid poisons in the wilderness. Many people think that extraordinary people should be proficient in everything, but the fact is that most of the extraordinary people here don't even have military experience. When they became extraordinary people, they were still ordinary people, and then they were discovered by the consortium and taught combat skills. But usually, when they take action, they are picked up by special cars and even protected by ordinary soldiers. It is not too much to say that they have everything they want. At this time, Ren Xiaosu took a step forward. Cheng Yu looked at Ren Xiaosu and said, forget about performing talents. What talents do you want to perform? Ren Xiaosu said unhappily, I want to tell you that starting tonight, everyone must mow the grass around them before going to bed. It is best to sleep on the ground that has been roasted by the campfire. I think there will be a lot of poisonous insects here. Don't get up after sleeping. I thought you were going to say something strange, Cheng Yu's assistant muttered. You can see that there are so many weeds here. If you have to clear the weeds before you can sleep, it will probably take an hour or two to clear them. You will be tired enough during the day, and you won't be able to sleep well at night. What Cheng Yu's assistant said was in line with the actual situation. The weeds here were too lush and it was too troublesome to clean them up. Few people were willing to spend 2 hours setting up a temporary camping spot for themselves after walking for a day. Besides, everyone's tents were well sealed, so there was no need to go through so much trouble. Someone nearby said, I brought some anthelmintics, which should be useful. I brought quite a lot, so I can share some with everyone, but I can't share them for nothing. Those who use my anthelmintics will keep watch for me tonight, someone said. In the past 2 days, the internal threats in the team are not that great. At least before seeing the real benefits, there is a high probability that there will be no cannibalism. So some people who are particularly tired want to use anthelmintics in exchange for their own rest time. After all, keeping watch is also very tiring. Ren Xiaosu glanced at them and said, don't be superstitious about anthelmintics. You don't know whether the insects nowadays are afraid of these things. He knew very well that most of the anthelmintics on the market are actually mosquito repellents, and many poisonous insects are not afraid of these things. Moreover, after the evolution of insects, their body functions are different from before, and the dosage in the past may not be able to deal with the poisons in the holy mountain. When it was time to camp at night, Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin took the trouble to cut all the weeds. Ren Xiaosu asked Yang Xiaojin to take a rest, but Yang Xiaojin said she was not tired, and she cleaned the camping spot with Ren Xiaosu, and she felt happy doing it. Only a few people in the entire camp followed Ren Xiaosu to do this. Originally, Ren Xiaosu thought that Luolan and Zhouqi would complain about being tired and lazy, but they turned out to be the most careful ones. In Luolan's opinion, it is better to listen to Ren Xiaosu's opinions when walking in the wilderness, and it will not be a disadvantage to have a long-term vision. Ren Xiaosu looked at Zhouqi. You will secretly drain all the moisture around our tents later, and don't leave any moisture in the ground, so it will be safer. Zhouqi didn't act pretentiously and agree directly. Everyone else in the camp was watching Ren Xiaosu and his team busying themselves. Someone muttered, these guys don't feel tired. They've been busy for almost an hour. As he spoke, he sprinkled insect repellent on the tent and drew a circle around himself. Luolan then whispered, Xiaosu, I haven't had a chance to ask you why you insist on entering this holy mountain. Ren Xiaosu glanced at Luolan. He thought that if he hadn't insisted on coming to the holy mountain before, Luolan might have left. At that time, Luolan was yelling that he wanted to leave. He really wanted to leave. As soon as Ren Xiaosu decided to go, he immediately changed his mind. Apart from anything else, Luolan was impeccable in terms of friends, so he didn't plan to hide it. I suspect that the person who was caught this time might be Li Yuan. Chapter 710 Mysterious Stone Statue. Wait? Luo Lan was stunned when he heard Ren Xiaosu's words. Didn't they say they caught Subject 001? How did they catch Li Yuan? Ren Xiaosu glanced at him and said, "This matter is confidential, because I guess Li Yuan may be Subject 001. As for why I guess this, I can't say it before I'm sure." As he said that, Ren Xiaosu looked at Zhou Qi. Zhou Qi was immediately unhappy. "I'm also very tight-lipped, okay? Don't worry, you and your maid saved our lives at Barrier 61, and I, Zhou Qi, know this life-saving grace." As soon as these words came out, Ren Xiaosu suddenly felt that the temperature around him dropped by 2 degrees. He quickly changed the subject, "So this time I am here to save Li Yuan. Actually, you don't need to risk your life with me. It's enough to have these people standing in front of you." "That won't work," Luo Lan said righteously. "This Spark company is too much. They actually took away such a cute little Li Yuan. I can't stand it. We must turn this holy mountain upside down." Ren Xiaosu looked at the night outside. He didn't know how Li Yuan was doing now. If the person caught by the Spark company this time was really Li Yuan, he would probably turn this place upside down. "Young Marshal, what are you thinking about?" asked the big liar. "I'm thinking, if I can find Yan Li Yuan smoothly, I can take him back to the northwest and live a good life, and no longer get involved in the right and wrong of the Central Plains." Ren Xiaosu sighed. This was his true words. He was now extremely eager for peace. But when the big liar heard this, his eyes lit up. "Young Marshal, are you serious?" Ren Xiaosu was surprised to see the big liar get up and walk out. "Where are you going?" "I'm going to send out a signal to notify the Northwest Army to come and flatten this holy mountain and help you find your brother, young Marshal," the big liar said firmly. Ren Xiaosu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Okay, what are you doing now?" "I don't know how long it will take for the troops of Fort 178 to come." I'm just expressing the attitude of Fort 178, the big liar laughed. Nothing happened that night, but the next morning Ren Xiaosu was awakened by someone screaming in the camp. He crawled out of the tent and was shocked to see a woman standing at the door of someone's tent. She was pointing at a statue on the grass and exclaiming, "Come and see, how come there is a statue in front of this tent? I remember that shrine was smashed yesterday." Ren Xiaosu walked closer to take a look, and he asked Luo Lan, "You smashed the shrine with your own hands yesterday. Do you still remember it?" "Yes," Luo Lan nodded and said, "We only kicked over the shrine outside, but the statue inside was not damaged. It's just that after the shrine fell, a lot of bugs crawled out of it, and no one looked at the statue carefully anymore." "Is this the statue from yesterday?" Cheng Yu squatted in front of the statue and looked at it carefully. "It seems to be. Look, there are new broken corners on it, probably left by Luo Lan kicking over the shrine yesterday. But why did this statue appear here?" Cheng Yu turned his head to look at the tent behind him. The door curtain of the tent was closed with a zipper at this time, but with such a big noise outside, it didn't wake up the people inside. He reached out and pulled down the curtain of the tent, but Cheng Yu's face changed and he couldn't help but take 2 steps back. The person in the tent had died at some point, and the 2 lines of blood and tears on his face were almost exactly the same as the death of the person yesterday. What was different today was that those unnamed insects were still shuttling back and forth in the eye sockets and nostrils of the dead person. Under the skin of the person's face, it seemed that something was still wriggling. Cheng Yu looked back at the statue in doubt. At this time, the statue seemed to be smiling at the dead person in the tent, which was extremely weird. No one knew why the statue followed them to the camp. They were several kilometers away from the location of the shrine. This time, everyone was scared and no one could explain why. After kicking down the shrine yesterday, everyone breathed a sigh of relief, but now they found that they still took this matter a little too simply. The woman who discovered the shrine in the morning began to cry with her hands covering her mouth when she saw the dead person in the tent. The man and woman obviously knew each other for a long time. Seeing the woman's heartbroken look, they were probably a couple. Song Qiao said at the side, "This man was going to touch the shrine yesterday, but he was a step too slow. Will the statue kill all those who disrespect it?" Luo Lan sneered, "Then it should come to me first. I kicked down its shrine, why didn't I see it come to retaliate? Don't talk about these things with metaphysics all day long. I think there may be spies from the fire company in the team." Someone wants us to be in fear every day and then be exhausted physically and mentally. What Luo Lan said is not unreasonable. Once a person is in fear for a long time, even the normal thinking ability will be lost, and you will eventually become a fish at the mercy of others. But weren't all the insects burned to death yesterday? Where did these insects come from? And you see, there are insect repellents next to his tent. These insects are not afraid of these insect repellents, Cheng Yu asked in confusion. It's useless to think about it now, Luo Lan sneered. I'll smash this statue now. I wonder who else can use it to play tricks. As he said that, Luo Lan actually lifted a huge stone and smashed it at the statue. With a clang, the stone and the stone statue were all shattered. But someone was surprised and said, "Look, there is a skeleton hidden inside the statue." Luo Lan squatted down to check, and what the person said was right. There was indeed a white skeleton behind the statue that was smashed to pieces. This is probably a statue made of people. It seems that someone specializes in doing this. The child skeleton in the statue is the so-called sacrifice, used as a carrier for the so-called gods to descend, Wang Yun said on the side. I saw it in a book, but it's been too long since I read it, and I can't remember what it is. Luo Lan sneered. Do you not remember, or don't want to say it? This Wang Yun obviously has a photographic memory. Since the other party has told him the purpose of this strange thing, how could he not know the origin? While everyone was discussing, Luo Lan looked at Ren Xiaosu, who was frowning at the side. What's the matter? Did you find anything? No, Ren Xiaosu shook his head. I'm just worried that since someone can move a stone statue into the camp quietly, he has the ability to kill people quietly. So what Ren Xiaosu cared about most was that even he didn't notice how the statue got into the camp. Chapter 711 Motive for Murder. Last night, Ren Xiaosu and Hu Ayao were on guard. In the first half of the night, Ren Xiaosu was very sure that the statue had not appeared in the camp, so he found Hu Ayao and asked, "Didn't you hear any movement in the second half of the night?" Really? Hu Ayao shook his head. Although I usually like to fool people, I am still very cautious when I go out. I wouldn't be so cautious that I wouldn't know who moved such a large statue. To be honest, I didn't see anyone moving last night. Where were you on guard? Ren Xiaosu said. Over there, Hu Ayao pointed. It was exactly the 3 o'clock direction of their campfire. Ren Xiaosu walked to the campfire and sat down. At this time, he found that Hu Ayao's sitting position was already very good, and he could see almost the entire camp, but between this position and the tent where the accident happened, there was another person's tent blocking it. Forget it, there's no point in delving into this now. Ren Xiaosu shook his head. I never believe in ghosts and gods, and I believe that everyone except the big liar doesn't believe in them, so let's assume that this was done by someone, and then we have to think about his motive first. The big liar said helplessly, I don't believe in ghosts and gods either. Yang Xiaojun glanced at him. You are a fortune teller and you say you don't believe in ghosts and gods. I was just fooling others, the big liar explained awkwardly. Let's talk about motives first. Ren Xiaosu brought the topic back. Has anyone noticed this dead man? I noticed it, Yang Xiaojun said. He was with a woman who found his body. I saw them exchange glances earlier, and there were 3 other people with them. Can you guess which consortium these people belong to? Ren Xiaosu felt that this person's death might also be related to the struggle between consortiums outside the Holy Mountain. Luo Lan whispered, now these people are hiding very well, and the people sent by the consortium this time are probably masters who have been hiding for a long time, just to avoid trouble, so it is impossible to determine which force they belong to. Moreover, the forces in this underground world are not limited to the consortium. In each black market, there are always 1 or 2 low-key but extremely powerful teams. They do not serve the consortium, nor do they participate in the affairs between the consortiums. They just obtain intelligence or accept tasks, and exchange them for rewards after completing them. Today you can help Zhou kill Wang's people, and tomorrow you can help Wen kill Kong's people. However, these people generally prefer to do neutral tasks. For example, in the current task, many people are interested. Won't this task offend the fire? Why is it called a neutral task? Ren Xiaosu wondered. Some people come here not to seize the number 001 experimental subject, but just to map the Holy Mountain, and then sell it for money. They can also follow other financial groups to fish in troubled waters along the way, so many people on the black market were very interested in it before. Luo Lan explained, these people don't plan to compete with a financial group, They just come here to pick some exotic flowers and plants, map the map and then prepare to leave. Then the deceased may not be one of them, Ren Xiaosu said firmly. I suspect that someone in our team did what happened last night. There must be a conflict of interest between the two parties, but we just don't know it. You should observe more in the next 2 days and see who the deceased's partner usually looks at most. The death of a partner can make people lose their minds, especially women. Some men with cold temperaments may be able to pretend that nothing happened, but this woman was obviously a little out of control in the morning. Who she looked at the most in the past 2 days is probably who she thinks is the most suspicious in her heart. In the morning, the woman invited the fire-type extraordinary person to help cremate her lover, which delayed the whole morning, but no one could say anything. In the afternoon, they continued to travel, but the sun set early in winter, so they didn't actually go very far. When they camped at night, Ren Xiaosu and his group gathered together and whispered. Luo Lan said, I found that when this woman was traveling in the afternoon, her eyes were always staring at the young man with a photographic memory. So when you lose your mind, it's easiest for others to see your flaws, Ren Xiaosu sighed. At this time, he was a little grateful to Yang Xiaojun. When he first learned that Yan Liwen might be arrested, he was probably also so irrational. Fortunately, Yang Xiaojun reminded him. Does anyone know that young man? Luo Lan said, I saw the people around him serve him like subordinates. This guy looks very much like a member of a consortium. And I saw their style of doing things. They packed up things in a swift and resolute manner. He is very likely a soldier from a consortium. The big liar on the side suddenly laughed. What a coincidence, I really know who he is. This man is called Wang Yun, and he is the director of the 2nd Intelligence Department of Kong Corporation. He has become the director of the Intelligence Department at a young age. He is very powerful. I've heard of Wang Yun. He is a supernatural being, but I don't know what abilities he has. Luo Lan nodded. He looked at Ren Xiaosu. Do you think he did what happened last night? It's hard to say, Ren Xiaosu said. First of all, this woman was the first to suspect Wang Yun, so Wang Yun must have a motive to kill. Do you know Kong Corporation? Does Wang Yun have any enemies? I don't know who the enemy is, but I know that Kong Erdong, the boss of Kong's intelligence system, was accidentally killed some time ago, said the big liar. I was quite curious when I saw Wang Yun here. He was obviously one of the most competitive candidates for that position, so why did he come here? That makes sense, Joki said with a smile. Maybe the dead man was sent by his competitor to disrupt the situation on the way, but was discovered by Wang Yun, so he took the initiative. I said, there are no real ghosts and gods in this world, Luo Lan said. At this time, Wang Yun had recovered his spirit. He sat by the campfire with a grim face, watching his subordinates clean up the grass. Yesterday, Ren Xiaosu said that the grass must be cleaned up, but no one paid attention. Today, everyone spent more than an hour to clean up their camping sites, for fear that they would be killed by poisonous insects in the middle of the night. Ren Xiaosu looked at Wang Yun from a distance, and Wang Yun seemed to feel Ren Xiaosu's gaze, raised his head and smiled at Ren Xiaosu as a greeting. Ren Xiaosu said to the big liar, you also rest tonight, I will guard the whole night. That's not good, the big liar said, can you handle it tomorrow? I can handle it, Ren Xiaosu said, don't worry, I have much more energy than you, and we just entered the holy mountain, so I am more confident to keep watch. Once we figure out the truth about this holy mountain, it won't be too late for you to keep watch. Chapter 712 The Maid's Team. Entering the holy mountain from the direction of Shanxi Mountain has always been called the Eastern Line. On the Western Line side, Xiankao and Tang Hulong are leading a team of people forward, and they have already seen the outline of the holy mountain from afar. Compared with Cheng Yu, Xiankao's team is particularly worry-free. In this team, there is no consortium intelligence worker with ulterior motives like Wang Yun, and there is no strange intruder like Ren Xiaosu. Here, there are only screened A-level killers. Everyone here is really going to participate in the Anjing Temple selection, and they are particularly united. Unlike the slackers in Cheng Yu's team, if Cheng Yu gets into trouble, I'm afraid many people will gloat over his misfortune. On Xiankao's side, almost everyone is vying to show themselves, and they will open mountains when they see mountains and open roads when there are no roads. Xiankao doesn't even need to do anything herself. Those A-level killers who want to join Anjing Temple have already done everything for everyone. For example, Some people have surveyed the terrain outside in advance, and some people know in advance that there are tarantulas outside the holy mountain. They are competing to show off, just to make Vanilla pay attention, so that they can get the qualification to join Anjing Temple after the trip to the holy mountain. At a certain moment, Vanilla was a little emotional. She didn't have to work hard at all along the way. Everyone was too enthusiastic. However, there are always one or two exceptions in the team. Vanilla looked back at Zhou Yingsu in the team behind her, and he couldn't figure out what this woman was doing and why she was selected in the previous screening. In fact, Anjing Temple was not sure whether Zhou Yingsu had any problems. Before, Anjing Temple sent Vanilla to investigate Zhou Yingsu in the black market outside Lucheng, but nothing abnormal was found. Anjing Temple's suspicion and speculation about Zhou Yingsu has always been that this guy will cause trouble wherever he goes, and there is no conclusive evidence. After entering the mountains, Vanilla found some problems again. This woman named Zhou Yingsu didn't seem to care so much about the selection of Anjing Temple. She kept asking him about the location of other teams along the way. The rest of the time, all attention was focused on the exotic flowers and plants on the roadside, and at first, she didn't communicate with everyone. Gradually, Zhou Yingsu confidently commanded others to find exotic flowers and plants for her. Many people in the team couldn't tell who she was, so they could only help her find them honestly. It's not that everyone is kind-hearted, but it is said that the tests of Anjing Temple are all in various aspects. Maybe Zhou Yingsu was sent by Anjing Temple to see if everyone has love or something. After all, everyone thinks Zhou Yingsu is a little unique, as if her purpose of coming here is different from theirs. This uniqueness was guessed by everyone as an examiner hidden in the crowd. Vanilla had a headache when she thought of this. You know, there is a reason why the boss arranged for him to lead a team. Everyone in this team may become the backbone of Anjing Temple in the future, which is very important. Otherwise, they would not be assigned a team specifically. At this time, Zhou Yingsu had just followed the team into the mountains for a few days and had successfully received 2 seeds. One plant was an evolved sweet potato, which had no other uses, but had many fruits, and was very sweet when roasted. Zhou Yingsu thought that this thing was a good match for the potato shooter, so he would call him the sweet potato brother from now on, so that the potato shooter would not seem so lonely. The other one was a bit strange. After all, Zhou Yingsu had little experience in wilderness survival, and could not recognize what this plant was. It was just that this plant could grow on stones and even crush the stones. At this time Tang Hulong came over from the other side and called out to Vanilla, "Vanilla." Zhou Yingsu immediately perked up. "Vanilla? What kind of grass is vanilla? Old man, have you discovered any exotic flowers or plants?" As she said that, she was about to get up and turn this legendary vanilla into seeds. Vanilla had a dark face on the side. "Vanilla is my name." "Girl, what are you doing here?" "Of course I'm here to participate in the Anjing Temple selection." Zhou Yingsu was disappointed when she heard that Vanilla was just a person's name, and her eyes immediately turned into disgust when she looked at Vanilla. Vanilla said unhappily, "I don't think you have any intention of participating in this selection. Look at the others, they are all energetic and ready to face the dangers in the mountains. What about you? Not only do you pick flowers and herbs by yourself, but you even order others to help you. I am a plant-based extraordinary person. Since there are exotic flowers and herbs here, of course I have to collect them." Zhou Yingsu was also unhappy. She had followed Ren Xiaosu for a long time. Even Luolan, Li Yingyan, Zhang Qingxi, and Su Ke were polite to her. Where did this little character Vanilla come from? How dare she yell at her? Zhou Yingsu was originally a slightly superficial woman, otherwise she would not have bought 10 rings to wear on her hands. Now she misses the days with Ren Xiaosu. No one dared to order her around, and she could even pretend to be powerful. These days Zhou Yingsu has been thinking that she came to the holy mountain a little hasty. The master must be with Yang Xiaojun. What should she call Yang Xiaojun when she sees her? Madam? Young madam? It always feels a bit strange. And she came in a hurry and didn't bring any gifts. Why not give her 10 rings to the other party? I don't know if the other party will like it. Of course, Zhou Yingsu also thought that Yang Xiaojun might not want her to stay with Ren Xiaosu. But it doesn't matter. If the Central Plains continues to be so chaotic, she will go to the northwest. Regardless of whether Ren Xiaosu returns to the northwest or not, she will tell the people in Fortress 178 that she is Ren Xiaosu's maid. At that time, the people in Fortress 178 will definitely be polite. Zhou Yingsu has heard from the big liar that Ren Xiaosu is the young marshal of Fortress 178, so the maid of the young marshal must have a high status. Even if she doesn't stay with Ren Xiaosu, she can still eat and drink well. She, Zhou Yingsu, is not a useless vase. It is said that the food in the northwest is not very sufficient, just enough to feed the residents, and occasionally there will be famine when the harvest is poor. Zhou Yingsu had heard Wang Fuge talk about this in the market town before. This time Wang Fuge brought so many convoys into the Central Plains, and one of the important tasks was to transport food. Although the Northwest is large in area, many places are not suitable for growing food. It's not that the 178 fortress is not well managed, but it's restricted by the natural climate. And now she has the potato shooter and the sweet potato brothers in her hands. She can become the most popular figure in the entire Northwest in a minute. You know, the food crops grown by her hands are not afraid of bad weather. Thinking of this, Zhou Yingsu felt a little relieved. Anyway, she has somewhere to go. Chapter 713, Li Shenton meets. When Zhou Yingsu thought that she didn't need to join Anjing Temple anymore, and there was no need to join Anjing Temple, she became even tougher towards Xiangkao. Who are you? Why do you care so much? Xiangkao was stunned. It was the first time he had seen such a tough participant in the selection. Before he could lose his temper, Tang Hulong next to him interrupted. The boss sent a message saying that a white mask appeared on Cheng Yu's side, and there was also a spy from Huazhong in the team over there, so we should be careful. Xiangkao sneered. It's easy to guess that Huazhong company has planted spies in the team. I'll find an excuse tonight and check all the people with tattoos under their ribs. But this white mask also came to this muddy water. I think it should be what the boss wants to see. I'm looking forward to how much chaos he can cause to Huazhong. Zhou Yingsu pricked up her ears when she heard the white mask. In fact, Zhou Yingsu didn't know what the relationship between this white mask and Ren Xiaosu was, but she knew very well that whenever her master appeared, there was the white mask. Although the maid was a little exaggerated, she was not stupid. It was easy for her to summarize this pattern. And there was intelligence before that. When the white masks attacked the Spark Company, there were snipers assisting. First of all, she had seen Ren Xiaosu's sniping ability, and secondly, she had heard of Yang Xiaojin's sniping ability a long time ago, so when Zhou Yingsu heard this information, she felt that these two people were most likely Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin. Zhou Yingsu interrupted the conversation between Xiangkao and Tang Hulong and said, "Where's the white mask? Where is their team?" Xiangkao glanced at her and said, "Why are you asking this?" "Of course I'm going to curry favor with someone," Zhou Yingsu said. "You look so weak, how can you lead the team into the Holy Mountain?" "Of course we have to find a stronger leader, right?" Xiangkao almost vomited blood in anger. "How do you know I'm weak? How can you, a plant-type extraordinary person, have the courage to mock a metal-type extraordinary person? But you look very weak," Zhou Yingsu said contemptuously, "and you have taken action in Wang's barrier before. The news has already spread. Everyone says that your speed of controlling metal is a bit slow, and you can't do anything to the people of the Dusk team. What about you? Are you very powerful?" Xiangkao stretched her neck and yelled, "The white mask is on the west side of the Holy Mountain. We are now on the east side. You should go through the Holy Mountain to find him." Zhou Yingsu was a little worried when she heard this. She was not sure she could cross the Holy Mountain alone. Of course, she was not afraid of death. After all, the maid's current ability was so powerful that even she herself would be a little afraid of using it. What Zhou Yingsu was worried about was that if she crossed the Holy Mountain, would it cause a big commotion and disrupt the master's plan? If Vanilla knew that the terrifying creeper in barrier number 61 was now in Zhou Yingsu's hands, she would probably change her tone of voice. At this time, Zhou Yingsu felt like she was going out incognito, and she was a little proud. Thinking of this, Zhou Yingsu was a little unhappy again. Her master took her to collect some exotic flowers and plants, which were at the level of creepers, while the people around her had to work hard to find a food crop. There must be many exotic flowers and plants in the Holy Mountain. If she could follow the master in, she could also collect seeds with peace of mind, right? Then when she went to the northwest, the people in Fort 178 would definitely be shocked by her powerful ability. I don't know if my master has any competitors in the northwest. Such a big power often has dramas like fighting for the throne. When the time comes, I will become the master's right-hand man and help him eliminate dissidents. Just when Zhou Yingsu was thinking about it, Footsteps suddenly came from the woods. The footsteps were so neat that it was difficult for everyone in the camp to tell whether it was one person or a group of people. "Prepare for battle," Vanilla whispered. "According to the intelligence, there is no team from their Enjing temple nearby, so those who can appear here are most likely enemies." Before this, they had been attacked by the bird-catching spider and intercepted by members of the fire company, so everyone knew that this place was not safe. The next moment, Vanilla had formed a defensive formation with more than 30 A-level killers, and the power-type awakeners had already held the heavy machine gun to their waists, ready to set off a metal storm at any time. "Don't do it, I'm just passing by," a smiling voice came from the woods. Vanilla frowned. He suddenly saw a group of people walking out of the woods. But the strange thing was that those people had dull eyes and were carrying a young man in a sedan chair. The people in this team were dressed in mixed clothes. Some were wearing plain clothes, while others were wearing the uniforms of the fire company. The plainclothes people seemed to be the same as them, and they were also here to invade the Holy Mountain, while the fire company was responsible for intercepting and killing them. These two types of people mixed together to form a new team, and then they also guarded a young man and a little girl floating in the sky together. It looked as weird as it could be. "Hello, everyone, my name is Li Shenton," the young man said with a smile. The three words Li Shenton seemed to have magic power. Everyone's mood sank immediately after hearing these three words. It has been a long time since the destruction of the Southwest Li family. Who in the entire world of extraordinary people does not know the name of the Devil Whisperer? Looking at the people around Li Shenton, they might be puppets after Li Shenton hypnotized them. Others were exhausted when they entered the Holy Mountain, but Li Shenton was different. He actually hypnotized dozens of people to protect himself and even made a sedan chair for transportation. Vanilla's fingertips were already clasped on the metal needle at her waist. "Why are you?" But before she could finish her words, she saw Li Shenton suddenly jumped off the sedan chair and ran all the way to Zhou Yingsu. Li Shenton said happily, "Why are you here? Where's your boss?" Originally, Li Shenton wanted to ask where your master was, but he felt that this might reveal some information about Zhou Yingsu and Ren Xiaosu, so he immediately changed his words. Zhou Yingsu glanced at Li Shenton. "Wait, aren't you the magician in Los Angeles? Why are you here?" "I'm here to have fun," Li Shenton said as a matter of course. "I originally wanted to go to the south to watch the typhoon, but suddenly there was something more interesting, so I came." "Where's your boss? Where's your boss? What do you want to see him about?" Zhou Yingsu said disdainfully, "Can you find my boss whenever you want?" Li Shenton said seriously, "I'm a close friend of your boss." Just a few simple words of conversation almost made Vanilla and others next to them dumbfounded. Chapter 714 Li Shenton's Friends. Li Shenton didn't care about others. He was in the middle of a group of assassins from Anjing Temple, and he didn't seem to worry about his own safety at all. On the contrary, Si Liren, who was carrying a box on his back, looked at everyone with a fierce look, fearing that someone would plot against Li Shenton. Zhou Yingsu glanced at Li Shenton. "My boss only said that you're a friend, but he didn't say what kind of close friend or relative." "Really?" Li Shenton's eyes lit up. He said, "I am a friend." He didn't care about the second half of Zhou Yingsu's words at all. Instead, Ren Xiaosu treated him as a friend, which seemed to make him happy. Xiankao and others beside him, as well as the assassins from Anjing Temple, looked at Li Shenton and Zhou Yingsu in doubt. In fact, Xiankao was already sure that the young man in front of him was Li Shenton, not someone pretending to be him. After all, no one would pretend to be the Devil Whisperer for nothing, and no one had the ability to pretend to be one. But this was very strange. Li Shenton kept saying that he and Zhou Yingsu's boss were close friends, but Zhou Yingsu looked very disgusted. Until now, the outside world has spread rumors about Li Shenton that he is terrifying, and he is the kind that can stop babies from crying. What is Zhou Yingsu's boss like that makes Li Shenton so eager to be his friend? Moreover, it seems that Li Shenton is very happy to be called a friend by the other party. All this is a bit too subversive. Zhou Yingsu herself is a transcendent, the boss of a transcendent, and the friend of Li Shenton. Vanilla felt a little crazy. Who the hell is this? Wait, Zhou Yingsu immediately changed the subject when she heard about the white mask just now. So the legendary mysterious white mask is Zhou Yingsu's boss? Vanilla pondered whether there is such a possibility, and the conclusion is that it is too possible. Vanilla is a top killer who is good at using accidents to kill mission targets. Even killing Kong or Dong can make the Kong intelligence system unable to find clues for a long time. Such a person is extremely good at capturing details, so in just a moment, he has concluded that the white mask is Zhou Yingxu's boss. For some reason, Vanilla was actually moved at this moment. She finally found the clues of the white mask. The white mask has been extremely mysterious since its appearance. It has no origin and no related people. It is extremely mysterious. Everyone is guessing who the white mask is, but they lack key clues. Now, Vanilla feels like a prophet who has mastered things that others don't know in advance. As long as he follows Zhou Yingxu's line, he may be able to find the true identity of the white mask. However, he has to get past Li Shenton first. Vanilla turned his eyes to the group of people behind Li Shenton, and saw that dozens of people stood there with dull eyes. Everyone knew that Li Shenton was good at hypnosis and could control others unconsciously. Who knows if Li Shenton will control them as well? In the era of the rise of the gods, Li Shenton has long been defined as a demigod. Of course, this demigod should be quoted. It is just everyone's evaluation and exaggeration of Li Shenton's strength. It does not mean that the other party can really represent the gods, but who knows what height Li Shenton has reached now? In fact, Vanilla's anxiety was completely unnecessary. The person standing in front of him was not one demigod, but two. At this time, Zhou Yingxu said, "I don't know where my boss is. If you want to find him, come with me into the Holy Mountain. I think he will be there." "Okay, let's go into the Holy Mountain together," Li Shenton said happily. He snapped his fingers, and someone immediately came to set up a tent for him. Others went out to collect dry firewood, clean the ground, and make a fire to cook. In just a snap of a finger, dozens of people suddenly became busy, but they were all serving Li Shenton. This scene was spectacular. "Xiao Liren, come and sit down, I'll let them cook for you," Li Shenton said. "I want to eat roasted sweet potatoes," Si Liren muttered. Zhou Yingxu's love overflowed when she saw Si Liren's cute appearance. "I have evolved sweet potatoes here, they are especially delicious." As she said that, Zhou Yingxu took out 2 sweet potatoes from her backpack. The others on the side looked at this happy scene and didn't know what to say. Their minds could no longer keep up with these changes. Moreover, with Li Shenton by their side, everyone felt that they dared not act rashly, for fear of provoking this legendary demon. Li Shenton smiled and looked at everyone. "Why are you all standing? Sit down. I'm in a good mood today. Let me show you a magic trick." "No, no, no." A group of people shook their heads quickly. Li Shenton was stunned and said, "Don't you like my magic? Do you look down on me, Li Shenton?" "No, no, no." A group of people shook their heads again. In the eyes of ordinary people, everyone in the camp is mysterious and powerful, but this group of people have an inexplicable awe in front of Li Shenton. It's really that Li Shenton is too famous. Some people present are not extraordinary people yet, but they have heard rumors that Li Shenton has killed people like crazy. This kind of psychological shadow cannot be offset by shouting "come on" in their hearts. Only Vanilla sighed in his heart. He just sighed that his team was particularly easy to lead, but he ushered in a legendary extraordinary person like Li Shenton. What a sin. Seeing that Li Shenton is about to seize the initiative of the team, right? Vanilla calmed down, pointed at the busy crowd around Li Shenton and said, "Are they controlled by you?" "Yes," Li Shenton said with a smile, and took out a deck of cards and started shuffling them. "But you don't have to worry about me controlling you. When I met these people, they were fighting. If I didn't control them, many of them would have died. I will let them go after the trip to the Holy Mountain. Then they will have to thank me for saving their lives. Don't you think so?" Vanilla sighed in her heart. Li Shenton's logic was indeed different from that of ordinary people. He was indeed a madman as rumored. In Li Shenton's view, he didn't want to control these people at all, but to save them and save them from the suffering of war. If someone else said this, Vanilla would have sneered at this logic, but when Li Shenton said it, it seemed extremely natural and reasonable. Then, when his team encountered the Spark Company, should they fight or not? If they fought, what if they were saved by Li Shenton? Vanilla was not sure if she could withstand Li Shenton's hypnosis. He secretly decided that if he really encountered a fire in the next few days, he would quickly shout that Li Shenton was here and not to do anything. The arrival of Li Shenton made Xiankeo feel that this trip to the Holy Mountain might cause a lot of trouble. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 715, The Mountain at Your Feet. Li Shenton's arrival may not be all bad news for Vanilla. At least they don't need so many people to keep watch at night. When Li Shenton was about to go to bed, those controlled by Li Shenton gathered outside the camp holding hands and forming a circle. Vanilla suddenly felt like playing a game of handkerchief. But regardless of whether it was strange or not, with such a force guard in the camp without sleep, no one could successfully launch a sneak attack. Li Shenton was about to get into the tent, but suddenly stepped out. "Oh, I forgot something important." As soon as he said this, everyone in the camp paused, fearing that Li Shenton would go crazy. Li Shenton walked to the center of the camp and said, "Come on, friends from the Spark Company, turn around." As he spoke, about 30 people in the group of people controlled by him turned around and faced the camp. So Li Shenton said again, "You were active nearby before, you must be waiting for someone to send you a signal? See if there are any of your people in this camp. If there are, point them out to me." Vanilla was stunned for a long time. During the day, Cheng Yu had sent a message saying that there was a traitor from the fire company in the team. He was thinking of identifying the members of the fire company based on the tattoos under their ribs. But Li Shenton's arrival disrupted his plan, so he forgot about it. Now, Li Shenton actually used the people he controlled to identify his partners. "This works," Vanilla muttered in a low voice. Tang Hulong smiled bitterly. "This devil whisperer acts erratically and unpredictably, and I don't know who can be friends with him." At this moment, two members of the fire company suddenly raised their hands and pointed at two people in the camp. The two people looked terrified. "We are not members of the fire company. We don't have tattoos on our ribs. If you don't believe me, you can see it." Li Shenton clapped his hands and laughed. "The tattoo is still the information disclosed by your fire company to the outside world. Isn't it just to confuse people like today? I have never believed in this kind of common sense that everyone knows. It is easy for humans to believe in the common sense they have mastered, but there is not so much common sense in life. Most of it is actually a castle built of lies." So, at this moment, the other people in the camp realized that not all members of the fire company have tattoos on their ribs, or some people simply don't have tattoos. Vanilla sighed. They were very cautious when selecting the candidates for this team, but in the end they let two members of the fire company in. The two members of the fire company suddenly saw that Li Shenton took out a silver coin from his hand. Li Shenton smiled and said, "Let's play a game of guessing the front and back. If you guess right, I will let you live." The two members of the fire company looked at each other. If someone else said this, it must be a lie. How could Jinxie let the two members of the fire company leave? But Li Shenton used the game to decide their life and death, which was somewhat convincing. One of the members of the fire seed said, "I guess the literal meaning is above." Li Shenton nodded. "Watch it." As he spoke, he used his thumb to bounce the silver coin high up. On the front of the exquisite silver coin, there was a young woman with bright eyes and white teeth, and a graceful smile, and on the back was a bunch of lilies. No consortium in the world has ever issued such a silver coin. It was carved by Li Shenton himself. The silver coin flew over the height of Li Shenton's nose bridge, just hovering at the position of his eyes and constantly turning. Everyone was waiting to see the front and back of the silver coin, but the silver coin stopped falling in the air. Vanilla yelled, "Close your eyes." But it was too late. Many people in the camp were stunned at the same time, and only a few people survived. Li Shenton looked at Vanilla and smiled. "You reacted quickly." Vanilla's face was gloomy, and she was ready to kill immediately. Although Li Shenton was famous, Vanilla was not a small character who could be manipulated by others. To be honest, no one expected that Li Shenton's hypnosis was so hard to defend against. But before he could make any move, he heard Li Shenton say with a smile, "Except for the people from Spark, the hypnosis will be lifted after I snap my fingers." The sound of snapping fingers came, and some people who were originally controlled by Li Shenton all woke up, leaving only the people from Spark Company standing there blankly. Vanilla was stunned. What on earth was Li Shenton trying to do? Why was there no logic in his actions? He thought Li Shenton was going to take the opportunity to control everyone, but now the other party has even lifted the hypnosis of the people he originally controlled. What on earth was he trying to do? And next to him, Sea Lion, who had been staring at the silver coin, curled his lips and said, "I'm still waiting to see the front and back. Why are you breaking your promise? Li Shenton smiled confidently and said, what kind of trust can you have with a mentally ill person? I'm a mentally ill person. Si Liren curled his lips again. Now Li Shenton always uses his mental illness as a shield, as if a mentally ill person can do whatever he wants. Those who just woke up seem to have had a big dream, standing there a little at a loss. They didn't even remember what happened during the control process. Most people felt a little weak, because after being controlled by Li Shenton, they began to sleep and never eat, completely overdrawing their lives to maintain their actions. Among these people, there are people from the consortium and people from Anjing Temple. Zhang Kao quickly asked his subordinates to settle them down. Li Shenton turned his head and looked at Zhou Yingsu. Why didn't you get hypnotized just now? Why? Zhou Yingsu said disdainfully, it's just a trick. Li Shenton smiled and said, it seems that you are not simple, no wonder you can become his maid. Zhou Yingsu immediately smiled, you have good vision. Although Li Shenton's hypnosis just now was just casual and did not use his full strength, even so, not everyone can resist it. Zhou Yingsu can be undisturbed, which shows that Zhou Yingsu's mental power is far superior to that of ordinary people, and the relationship between mental power and extraordinary people corresponds to the strength of each other. There are only a few people in this world that Li Shenton cannot see through. For example, when he first met Ren Xiaosu at Li's barrier, he felt the other person's spirit, which was as unique as the sea. Li Shenton whispered to Zhou Yingsu, you really don't know where your boss is? I think you should also want to see him. Tell me where he is, and let's go find him together. Zhou Yingsu looked at Li Shenton. Ren Xiaosu did say that Li Shenton was a friend before, and when they were in Lucheng, the attitudes of both parties were very telling. At least when Ren Xiaosu faced Li Shenton, he did not have clear hostility, and the same was true for Li Shenton. She thought for a while and said, he should be in the west, with a holy mountain between us. Li Shenton laughed, when you want to see a friend, if the mountain is blocking you, then step on the mountain under your feet. There are 2 more chapters in the evening, and more are out starting on the 29th. Chapter 716 The Mystery of the Statue. At night, after Li Shen cleared the spies from the Spark Company, Vanilla immediately sent a message to Yang Enjing. The key point was to inform other teams that not everyone has the serial number tattoos from the Spark Company. At least the 2 people found in their team did not have them. It might not be useful for other teams to know about this. After all, without recognizable signs and without Li Shen's means of controlling others, it would be difficult to find the Spark spies in the team. They can only be careful to avoid being tricked by the Spark. After Chang Yu received the news, he immediately began to screen the memories of everyone in the team to see if anyone was suspicious. At this time, the first person he noticed was Wang Yun. Because Wang Yun left the team the most times during the entire journey, although no one knew what Wang Yun was doing, but to pass on the message, he had to act alone, so Wang Yun was the most suspicious. However, Chang Yu immediately ruled out Wang Yun, because he also knew Wang Yun's true identity. Kong's and Huazhong Company were neighbors, and there were often frictions between them. If Wang Yun was from Huazhong, how could he enter the intelligence system, which was a place with extremely strict political review? Then Chang Yu also ruled out Ren Xiaosu and others, not because of Ren Xiaosu, but because of Luo Lan. After all, the hatred between Qing's and Huazhong Company for so many years could not be faked. Qing's had killed many people from Huazhong, and if Ren Xiaosu was Luo Lan's spy, it was impossible for him to have any relationship with Huazhong. At this time, Chang Yu locked the suspicion on 12 people, which were 2 teams, 1 team of 5 and 1 team of 7. The reason why he suspected these people was that people from the other side often disappeared. Moreover, when the middle-aged man attacked the White Mask before, Vanilla had specially noticed that more than half of these people happened to be on night watch, so the middle-aged man's choice of this time might also be related to this. Chang Yu did not tell this news to others, but decided to observe it again to avoid alerting the enemy. When darkness completely enveloped the sky, and the night watchmen were about to change shifts, a strange force suddenly covered the broken statue far away from the camp. The statue had been completely smashed by Luo Lan, and there were probably dozens of fragments. But under the control of this mysterious force, the dozens of fragments moved automatically without wind, strangely reassembled together, and restored to a complete statue. Moreover, the body and face of the statue were covered with cracks, which made the originally smiling statue look extremely terrifying and hideous. Then, The statue slowly left the ground and flew towards the camp at a constant speed. When it passed through the woods, it did not touch any leaves or weeds, silently, without any movement. The statue was getting closer and closer to the flickering firelight of the camp. When it was 5 meters away from the camp, the statue suddenly stopped, as if secretly observing the movements in the camp. At this time, there was still half an hour before the night watchmen changed shifts, and now was the time when the first batch of night watchmen were the most tired. The statue started moving again, flying towards the door of a tent in the camp. But just as it was about to enter the camp, a figure suddenly jumped out from nowhere, kicked the statue with a kick, and blew it up. Wang Yun opened his eyes in the tent. He looked at Ren Xiaosu standing at the edge of the camp through the gap in his tent in silence. At this time, other people in the camp were also alarmed, and everyone got out of the tent. Cheng Yu frowned and said, "What happened?" "Oh, this statue suddenly flew over, and I don't know how it stuck itself together," Ren Xiaosu said easily, "but it's okay. I've kicked its dog head, and those who are awake in the second half of the night don't sleep. Just take my shift." Wang Yun's eyes twitched. Ren Xiaosu was one of the night watchmen in the first half of the night, but he didn't expect that his plan would be broken by Ren Xiaosu, and in such a straightforward way. In fact, Lu Olan and others were right in their previous guesses. This statue was indeed Wang Yun's trick. If a statue weighing dozens of kilograms wants to land in the camp quietly, it must be done by a supernatural person. And Wang Yun's ability is to control the air and kill people invisibly. There are all kinds of supernatural abilities in this world, and Wang Yun is very satisfied with his ability, which is also in line with his profession. When he was still on the field, he used this ability to assassinate many people without weapons, fingerprints, or evidence. And the magic of this method of controlling the air surprised Wang Yun himself. This time, the reason why he wanted to kill people was because he found a competitor in the team. Although the 5 people had never appeared in the list of the intelligence system, Wang Yun had a photographic memory. He clearly remembered that these 5 people had participated in the selection of the Kong's intelligence system, but they were eliminated. Now think about it, after they were eliminated, they might have been taken into the pockets of competitors and trained as dead men. Unexpectedly, he left Kong's and showed a weak attitude, and his opponent actually sent people to disrupt his mission. How could Wang Yun not want to kill? The struggle for interests and status within the consortium has always been a fight to the death. Wang Yun could not fail in this operation. Later, he found that the statue might be very likely to attract some poisonous insects in the holy mountain because of the bones of a child inside. He planned to use the statue to kill people and scare other teammates, making them fall into fear and mental exhaustion. Yesterday was just a trial run. Wang Yun felt quite happy to see the reactions of others, but he did not expect that he would be kicked to pieces today. Yesterday, the statue was only split into dozens of pieces, but now the head of the statue is almost kicked into powder. However, this incident still caused panic among the people in the camp. Although Ren Xiaosu kicked the statue to pieces, they were afraid that the statue would piece itself together and follow them. Is there really something unclean in this mountain? Cheng Yu asked Ren Xiaosu, how did it get here? Someone nearby asked anxiously, is someone playing tricks? In fact, what everyone wanted to confirm most was that if someone was playing tricks behind the scenes, it wouldn't be so scary. As long as it was man-made, it had nothing to do with metaphysics. Ren Xiaosu glanced at everyone and comforted them, it flew here by itself. Now everyone was even more scared. However, Ren Xiaosu didn't lie, it really flew here by itself. There will be another chapter that will be very late, everyone can read it tomorrow morning. Chapter 717 Best-selling lipstick. As the person who saw and smashed the statue with his own hands, Ren Xiaosu naturally had to describe the scene in detail. It was like this. I was keeping watch here, and suddenly there was such a statue floating over. It was broken and reassembled. It looked very ferocious. You know what I mean, the kind with cracks all over its face. Cheng Yu's face was dark. He found that the more Ren Xiaosu talked, the colder he felt. Looking at the expressions of the others around him, they were basically the same as him. They were very nervous, but they had to understand what happened. After Ren Xiaosu finished speaking, he didn't care what others thought. Anyway, he was going to sleep. For some reason, Ren Xiaosu always felt that it was too peaceful after entering the holy mountain. The statue incident must have been man-made. Just now, when the statue was hiding outside and secretly observing the camp, Ren Xiaosu was secretly observing the statue, and then he found that the direction the statue was observing was the tent of the couple who died before. So Luo Lan's guess was probably true, and the murderer was Wang Yun. Apart from this incident, they had never encountered the fire company since entering the Holy Mountain. You know, this is the core strategic location of the fire company. Before entering, they could encounter sneak attacks from the fire, but after entering, they didn't. This made Ren Xiaosu alert. He was afraid that what was waiting for them next would be even more bizarre. The entire mountain range of the Holy Mountain covers a large area, spanning hundreds of kilometers. If they were to continue their current speed, they would reach the real core of the Holy Mountain in about 10 days. Just as Ren Xiaosu and his team continued to go deeper into the Holy Mountain, a group of off-road vehicles came from the Central Plains and arrived outside the Northwest Barrier City number 144. Zhang Xiaoman had been waiting here early, but this time Zhang Xiaoman was just accompanying him. The officer who was really responsible for receiving the convoy was Wang Fengyin, the head of intelligence at the 178th Fortress. Generally, the matters that Wang Fengyin dealt with were treated as confidential. Zhang Xiaoman asked tentatively, "Boss Wang, who is coming this time? Is there any need to distribute?" Wang Fengyin glanced at him. "Oh, after not seeing you for a few months, Zhang Xiaoman can use honorifics now. How come the higher the official, the more polite he is?" "Hey," Zhang Xiaoman didn't care about Wang Fengyin's ridicule. "This is also a kind of progress for me." "Not bad," Wang Fengyin nodded. Then Zhang Xiaoman found that Wang Fengyin easily changed the topic and didn't intend to answer his question. When the off-road convoy arrived under the city wall, the people in the car didn't even get off, and Wang Fengyin got on a car and drove directly to the northwest. The convoy from afar followed behind. Zhang Xiaoman looked at the convoy and curled his lips. It's mysterious all day long. The convoy continued to drive west for more than 100 kilometers until it finally stopped at a small valley. At this time, someone had already set up a temporary military camp in the valley. The scale was not large. Lin Yuz, who was in charge of logistics, was calling his cooks to cook. Zhang Jinglin came out of the military tent when he heard the voice. Someone from the convoy quickly took the wheelchair from the trunk and carried Wang Shengzi from the back seat to the wheelchair. Wang Shengzi smiled from beginning to end, and even had time to wave to Zhang Jinglin. "Long time no see. When I passed by barrier number 144 just now, I found that many caravan trucks were parked outside. It seems that the decision to reopen the trade route is correct." Zhang Jinglin smiled and said, "It is always a good thing to exchange what you have, but you probably can't imagine that the best-selling product of your Central Plains in the Northwest will be lipstick." When this was said, even Wang Shengzi was stunned. As the real controller of the Wang Consortium, even if he paid attention to the trade route, he was more concerned about some strategic material data. He really didn't expect that the best-selling product in the Northwest would be lipstick. Even the biggest lipstick dealer Wang Fuge himself didn't expect. When he brought a few trucks of lipstick here, Zhang Xiaoman forced some local big merchants to take over the goods. Originally, the big merchants complained in their hearts, thinking that this batch of goods might be a waste of money. But who knew that Wang Fuge's vision was so accurate? This batch of lipsticks that everyone thought might be a waste of money, turned out to be very popular as soon as it was launched. Before this, everyone thought that there was a shortage of supplies in the Northwest, so who would spend their spare money to buy lipsticks? It turned out that they didn't understand women's love of beauty. Later, other people also wanted to follow suit and do the lipstick business, but an accident happened. Zhang Xiaoman, the ruffian, actually made a lipstick business license and only issued it to Wang Fuge. Now, the lipstick business has become Wang Fuge's exclusive way to make money. Zhang Xiaoman's boss Zhou Yinglong heard about this and planned to ask someone to take care of it, but then he thought that lipsticks were not strategic materials, and the matter involved Ren Xiaosu, so he just let it go. Now when Wang Fuge travels on the trade route, no matter who sees him, he must greet him politely and call him Mr. Wang or Mr. Wang. Everyone knows that Wang Fuge must have someone in Fortress 178, otherwise he would never be so tough. Some people even specifically look for Wang Fuge to help him find someone to solve some difficult problems. But Wang Fuge was also a man of measure. He just did business honestly and didn't care about other messy things. Wang Fuge felt that Ren Xiaosu would take over the 178 fortress in the future, and he couldn't let Ren Xiaosu drag down his reputation. Zhang Jinglin looked at Wang Shengzi. The Central Plains is not peaceful now, How dare you come to the northwest with such a small group? Wang Shengzi smiled and said, all those monsters have now run to the holy mountain, so I dare to go out like this. You led them there, right? Zhang Jinglin said with a hint of meaning. Haha, what delicious food did Chef Lin prepare today? Wang Shengzi pushed the wheels of his wheelchair and went to the military camp, seemingly not wanting to answer this question. This question actually asked whether Enjing Temple and Wang's family had begun to join forces to set up a trap for the people of the world. Since the fall of Donghu, the big network that Enjing Temple had laid out for many years began to tighten and began to affect the Central Plains, but that was just the beginning, and the influence was not enough. But now, a number 001 experiment has set the entire Central Plains in motion. Zhang Jinglin feels that 70% of the extraordinary people in the entire Central Plains have gone into the mountains. Why did Wang Shengzi do this? Probably to clear all unstable obstacles. Wang Shengzi suddenly turned around and smiled. Mr. Zhang, you have reached an agreement with the Qing family, agreeing to their integration into the railway, and to trade with the Central Plains through you. Are you guarding against me? Thanks to Fixiang Jia Beiji, Jizibur, and O for becoming the new allies of this book. The bosses are generous. Chapter 718 Wang's Intentions. Just when everyone's eyes were focused on the holy mountain of the Spark Company, Wang Shengzi suddenly came to the northwest with a light outfit and a few followers, and held a brief secret meeting with Zhang Jinglin in this wilderness. It can be seen that Wang Shengzi attaches great importance to this meeting, otherwise he would not have come all the way to the northwest, and the confidentiality level would not be so high. Facing Wang Shengzi's question, Zhang Jinglin just smiled and said, you worry too much? The main purpose of trading with the Qing family is to exchange what we have, not to guard against anyone. Then I'm relieved, Wang Shengzi said with a smile. Both parties entered the temporary military camp. Wang Shengzi smiled and looked at the young officer who was secretly guarding Zhang Jinglin. You are Su Zianshu, right? I've heard of you, you are very powerful. Su Zianshu was unmoved, but continued to be alert. Now that extraordinary people continue to emerge, and their methods are becoming more and more varied, in order to prevent someone from assassinating Zhang Jinglin, the senior generals in the fortress directly suggested that Su Zianshu be transferred to the garrison and let him protect Zhang Jinglin's safety. Su Zianshu was also good at marching and fighting. It was a bit of a waste of talent to use him to manage the combat sequence of the garrison troops, but no one was more suitable than Su Zianshu. According to Zhou Yinglong, no matter who came to assassinate him, Su Zianshu's big pot on the ground as a defensive fortification would definitely last until the reinforcements arrived. Now Su Zianshu's pot could definitely hold a dozen people. The only thing that everyone was confused about was why Su Zianshu's pot was getting bigger and bigger. Lin Yuz ordered the cooks to bring a small stove for Zhang Jinglin and Wang Shengzi to keep warm in the tent, and Wang Shengzi's entourage brought him a blanket to cover his legs, and then everyone left the tent. What Zhang Jinglin and Wang Shengzi wanted to talk about must be confidential, and even Wang Fingian had no intention of entering the tent. At this time, Zhang Jinglin put the wine pot next to the stove to warm it, and then said, talk about it, you are not the kind of person who would come out to relax when you have nothing to do. What do you want to say about this trip to the northwest? Wang Shengzi smiled and said, now that the trade route between the northwest and the Wang family has been opened, the two families should be closer. Can't I come if I have nothing to do? There is no need for us to beat around the bush, Zhang Jinglin smiled and said, the weather is cold in our northwest, and the soldiers outside are still freezing. The sooner they finish talking, the better it will be for them to return to the barracks. What exactly does the Wang family want to do? Of course, it is to restore order to this world, said Wang Shengzi. How to restore it? Artificial intelligence. Wang Shengzi looked at Zhang Jinglin and said seriously, I know that your Fortress 178 has always been very good to refugees. Yes, anyone with a conscience will not divide humans into natural classes after a disaster, but our Wang family is more courageous and directly uses a barrier to absorb refugees. That's a bit high-sounding. Zhang Jinglin lit a cigarette for himself. Barrier number 61 accepts refugees just as a strategy against the Zhou and Kong families. Aren't there so many refugees who have been diverted to various barrier towns and factories by you? That's just the beginning, Wang Shengzi said. What I was most worried about before was that the refugees would be difficult to manage after entering the barrier, which would eventually pose a hidden danger, but now the Wang family's artificial intelligence is mature enough. Barrier number 61, which has the most refugees, has the best public security. That is the fear that you, Wang Shengzi, have exchanged for thousands of heads. Zhang Jinglin sighed. I also hope that the Northwest can become a soil of peace, and I hope that everyone does not have to worry about someone committing a crime and hurting themselves. But what did you, the Wang family, do? Even theft is sentenced to death, so of course people dare not commit a crime. This is just a small price to pay, Wang Shengzi said. If you don't do this, do you have a better way? I am not a person who kills indiscriminately, but it is a fact that the doors of barrier number 61 are not locked at night. Although the Wang family took a detour in the pursuit of order, we finally arrived at the end first. Zhang Jinglin shook his head. Actually, what I dislike most is this sentence. We took a detour. The person who said it can be very relaxed, but many people ignore how bloody the detour is. Then please tell me what you think. Wang Shengzi sat up straight in the wheelchair. Regarding whether refugees can have equal human rights, Zhang Jinglin sighed. You want to lock everyone up in the barrier and let artificial intelligence take care of them. But I hope that people in the barrier can walk out, and the gates of the barrier are no longer always closed. People do not need to have certain identities to enter and exit. Then what about refugees who enter the barrier and commit crimes? How do you manage it? Aren't you going to catch them? Wang Shengzi asked. I don't want to defend the criminal, Zhang Jinglin shook his head and said. I just think that your Wang family is too cruel, and most importantly, I don't trust artificial intelligence. You and I are both very clear about the bad nature of human beings, Wang Shengzi said calmly. Even in Fortress 178, there will still be people who are corrupt or inactive. You also know how I lost the feeling in my legs. If no one was bribed at the beginning, and the criminal was educated in prison, then there would definitely be fewer victims like me. But can you make everyone fair and honest? You can't do it, and I can't do it, but artificial intelligence can do it. It is the most fair and just third party. No one can bribe it, and it will not know fatigue and will never slack off. So, you said just now that you want to restore order in the entire Barrier Alliance, so you must first control the entire Barrier Alliance, Zhang Jinglin said. In fact, you are ready to start a war, right? Lu Cheng is the beginning. This time, someone in the Holy Mountain will help you eliminate some unstable factors, and then a new cake will appear. The process of mixing this cake is the opportunity for the Wang family. In fact, it was not until this moment that the conversation between the two sides finally got to the point. Wang Shengzi smiled and said, what I want is that when the war starts, the Northwest can work with the Central Plains to balance the Qing family in the Southwest. Then what can I get from the Northwest? Zhang Jinglin asked calmly. A world without the threat of nuclear weapons, a stable barrier order, and if there is another foreign enemy attacking Fortress 178, the entire Barrier Alliance will become the strongest backing for Fortress 178, said Wang Shengzi. Before, the Qing family reached an agreement with Fortress 178, one of which was that if there was an invasion by foreign enemies, the Qing family must send troops to cut off the enemy's retreat and supply lines from the Western Plateau. This is also because Zhang Jinglin still remembers the mission of Fortress 178, no matter what time it is. Now, Wang Shengzi also said the same thing to Zhang Jinglin, but Zhang Jinglin shook his head. Is that all? I'm afraid it's not enough. Chapter 719 There is no future. Before this, Wang Shengzi did not talk to the Zhou and Kong families about this, which means that he was not particularly worried about the Kong and Zhou families. And now he came to the Northwest not because he was worried that the 178 fortress would block his progress, but because he needed the Northwest to work with him to clamp down on the Qing family in the Southwest. In the final analysis, Zhang Jinglin believed that the reason why Wang Shengzi had to come to the Northwest in person at this time was because he was afraid of Qing Zhen. Of course, Zhang Jinglin also understood that he was also very familiar with a young man named Qing Zhen. It was difficult for any consortium in this world to despise the other party. Those who dared to despise Qing Zhen were either dead or not yet dead. Now, Wang Shengzi wanted to unite with the 178 fortress. In fact, it was for the Qing family. Therefore, if Zhang Jinglin accepted Wang Shengzi's conditions, then in the future he would inevitably stand on the opposite side of the Qing family with the Wang family. Zhang Jinglin was not afraid of Qing Zhen, and the 178 fortress was not afraid of the Qing family, but there was no need. The key point is the word unnecessary. Now that life in the Northwest is getting better and better, Why should he expand his ambitions and drag the entire 178 fortress into the war? Now is a good time for the Northwest to recuperate. What you said doesn't make me excited, Zhang Jinglin said. Will the Wang family do something when the 178 fortress faces foreign enemies in the future? This is a blank check, and I am not interested in war. Zhang Jinglin said earlier that war cannot save mankind. Wang Shengzi looked at Zhang Jinglin and smiled. What if you control the entire Barrier Alliance? At that time, the entire Barrier Alliance will be in your own hands. Are you still afraid that what I say will be a blank check? This time, it was Zhang Jinglin who was stunned. To be honest, the conversation between the two was within Zhang Jinglin's expectations from beginning to end. When Wang Shengzi came to his door, he knew why Wang Shengzi came to the Northwest. But when the topic came here, it suddenly exceeded Zhang Jinglin's expectations. He frowned and asked, "What does this mean?" "It means that the Barrier Alliance will no longer be controlled by the consortium in the future," Wang Shengzi said calmly. "The consortium will completely become a thing of the past, and the successors of this Barrier Alliance will no longer be hereditary. The first one will be you, Mr. Zhang." Zhang Jinglin looked at Wang Shengzi seriously. "You have been planning for so long and making so many efforts, just to help others? You don't want anything." Wang Shengzi said, "I only have one request, that is, the order of this Barrier Alliance must be managed by artificial intelligence." "Of course, it's just order. I can't figure it out," Zhang Jinglin said frankly. "I really don't know what you are thinking this time. In fact, you can spend more time on planning. Maybe you can do what you want without the help of the Northwest, and you don't need this kind of thing to make a deal." "No, this is not a deal," Wang Shengzi shook his head. "I don't have time." "What does this mean?" Zhang Jinglin looked at Wang Shengzi carefully, only to find that the other party was not in a very good mood. Wang Shengzi pointed to his chest and said, "Lung cancer. So you teamed up with Anjing Temple to bring those people into the Holy Mountain this time, hoping to find the number 001 experiment subject, and then find a way to cure cancer from him?" Zhang Jinglin asked. Now most people know that the number 001 experiment subject seems to have been born during the cancer treatment of Spark Company, and the other experiment subjects are also cancer patients. Haha, Wang Shengzi smiled and pointed to his legs and said, "I don't have such plans. For me, death is a kind of relief. Why should I pursue a life that does not belong to me?" "Mr. Zhang, why do you think life has weight?" "In fact, it is because of its limited. If life is infinite, then its existence loses its meaning." I don't know why, Zhang Jinglin and Wang Shengzi argued for so long, but suddenly reached a consensus on this topic. Zhang Jinglin sighed and said, "I'm sorry." This apology means that if he knew that Wang Shengzi had not much time left, maybe he would be more polite when he spoke just now. Wang Shengzi spread his hands. "I don't think this is a pity, but I want to finish what I should do before I die. I don't covet any fame and fortune in this world. In my heart, you have always been the most sober person in the world, so I hope that when I complete that business, you can take it from me." But Zhang Jinglin didn't say anything. Seeing that Zhang Jinglin didn't say anything, Wang Shengzi persuaded him again, "I will clean up all the consortiums before I die and give you a clean alliance." When Wang Shengzi mentioned cleaning up all the alliances, his tone was particularly firm and resolute, including Wang himself. At a certain moment, Zhang Jinglin felt the other party's determination and Wang Shengzi's dissatisfaction with the consortium. He didn't know how to evaluate Wang Shengzi, because he had always thought that the other party had worked hard for so many years for his own ambitions. Not only Zhang Jinglin thought so, but also Qing Zhen. Now that the other party knows that he is about to die, he still thinks about how to complete the unification of the Barrier Alliance and clean up all the consortiums. Wang Shengzi looked at Zhang Jinglin and said earnestly, "I know Mr. Zhang is still a little prejudiced against artificial intelligence. I just hope you can learn more about it and see how orderly Barrier number 61 is." But Zhang Jinglin finally sighed and shook his head. "Sorry, I can't help you." "Why?" "I don't have the ambition to control the entire Barrier Alliance," Zhang Jinglin said. "If someone can take over Fortress 178 from me now, I can retire now." Wang Shengzi smiled bitterly. "You still have time to train this person, but I don't. I want to know, do you have a candidate in mind now?" "Let me guess, it's Ren Xiaosu." Zhang Jinglin glanced at Wang Shengzi. "How do you know?" Wang Shengzi said, "You don't have to look at me like that. Isn't it normal to plant spies in each other?" It's just that I did it earlier than others, so you cleaned up other people's spies but couldn't find mine. I'm curious, what's so special about him? Zhang Jinglin replied, maybe you will know later. There is no future. Wang Shengzi pushed the wheels of his wheelchair and walked out. Thank you for the hospitality. Although none of my wishes have come true, I finally saw an old friend. Mr. Zhang, do you remember how we first met? I remember, Zhang Jinglin said. Thank you, Wang Shengzi said these two inexplicable words and got on the car. The off-road team drove all the way to the Central Plains. It was late winter, and the last snow fell from the sky. Eat a meal, and there will be another update later. Chapter 720 Artificial Intelligence. 61. A group of people were standing at the door, waiting for their identities to be verified. Name: Jiangsu. Did you bring your documents? Yes, I did. A reporter beside Jiangsu hurriedly handed over their documents. Since Barrier Number 61 accepted refugees, it has always been the focus of the entire Barrier Alliance. On the one hand, this is because it is the only barrier full of refugees, and on the other hand, it is Wang's artificial intelligence. When Ren Xiaosu and his friends entered the Holy Mountain, Wang's official media was not idle for a moment. Every day, they spared no effort to record the life here, how good the public security is, and how fast the cases are solved. Jiangsu wanted to record the truth of the entire era, so how could he miss such a thing? It is very likely to mean the change of the times and even affect the future lifestyle of mankind. So Jiangsu applied to Wang's for a visit as the editor-in-chief of Hope Media, and Wang agreed at the first time. Barrier Number 61 is not just a show project. Everything here makes the managers of the Wang family's barrier proud. They even often openly sigh that they didn't expect that refugees would be easier to manage than the people in the barrier. Recently, the Wang family has been busy from top to bottom. It is said that Wang Shengzi wants to move the administrative center of the Wang family to Barrier Number 61. The soldiers responsible for checking the documents at the city gate quickly verified the identities of Jiangsu and others, including checking the authenticity of the documents and whether the photos were of the person himself. 10 minutes later, an officer came over and said politely, "Welcome to visit Barrier Number 61, Editor-in-Chief. I will immediately prepare a special car to arrange your tour." Jiangsu's influence is not limited to Los Angeles. People respect Jiangsu from the heart. This respect does not come from power and money, but from his attitude and wisdom. Jiangsu just waved his hand and said bluntly, "I came here to find trouble, so you don't need to take care of my daily life. Besides, I am afraid that I can't see the itinerary you arranged clearly." The Wang officer smiled a little awkwardly and said, "There is nothing shameful in our Number 61 barrier. You can visit it casually." "Okay, thank you in advance," Jiangsu smiled, and then walked inside step by step with a cane. There were only 5 people in their group. Except for Jiangsu, they were all reporters from Hope Media. He said to the 4 reporters, "Look carefully, observe carefully, and don't forget why we are here." After entering the barrier, the scene was a little different from what they imagined. According to the reporters' imagination, there were refugees in Number 61 barrier. Shouldn't they all be dressed poorly and look sad? As a result, the people here looked no different from the people in the barrier, and no one seemed to have a bitter face all the time. Jiangsu turned around and smiled. "Why, can't you see others doing well?" "Not really," a reporter scratched his head. "I think it's a slap in the face of the people of the barrier if we tell them about this." Before this, there were also people in the barrier in Luo City who were very reluctant to let refugees enter the barrier, and some people were condescending and regarded refugees as inferior races, saying that even if refugees entered the barrier, they would still be refugees and could not become barrier people. But now the refugees in Barrier Number 61 look no different from the barrier people. In just a few months, the refugees have dressed neatly and even behaved very politely. It is said that Wang's family also set up a night school in Barrier Number 61. Many refugees spontaneously signed up to learn knowledge after work and were very motivated. So, in terms of probability, it seems that the environment makes people, not people making the environment. Jiangsu did not respond to this topic, but saw a middle-aged man standing on the street and said, "Hello, I am a reporter. Can I take 2 minutes of your time to ask you a few questions? It doesn't matter if you don't have time. I just hope I won't cause you any burden." The middle-aged man hesitated for a moment, but still agreed. At this moment, Jiangsu suddenly saw the middle-aged man looking up and looking around. Jiang Su followed his gaze and found that he was looking for the camera on the street. However, Jiang Su did not mention this matter, but asked first, "What do you do at Barrier 61? "Oh," the middle-aged man said, "I work in the water company, working on water supply, and occasionally go to the heating side to help." "How is the salary? Is it enough for food and clothing?" Jiang Su asked. "Of course this is enough, and the foreman hasn't exploited me yet, which is pretty good," the middle-aged man said. "In the past, on the construction site outside the barrier, I was told that I would be paid 2,000 yuan a month, but I only got a little over 1,000 yuan in my hands. Now there is no such thing." "Oh," a reporter asked, "then you should feel very happy now." "We don't know what happiness is, but I am living better than before," the middle-aged man replied. The reporter whispered, "It seems that Wang is not lying." Jiang Su smiled at the middle-aged man and said, "Okay, thank you. I'm sorry to have kept you for so long. We have a small gift for you to accept." As he said that, he asked the reporter behind him to hand the middle-aged man a box, and inside the box was an exquisite fountain pen. At this time, Jiang Su suddenly asked, "I saw you standing by the road just now. Are you waiting for someone? If you have something else to do, we won't bother you for now." The middle-aged man smiled bitterly and said, "I'm not waiting for someone, but when I passed by just now, there was a wallet on the ground. I was the first one to see it, so I have to wait here for the owner to come back and find it." A reporter was stunned for a moment. "Then you are really honest?" The middle-aged man waved his hand. "Not really, it's mainly because of the regulations in the barrier. If I see it and don't pick it up and leave directly, I will be fined. If I take it away, it will be more serious and I will be detained for 7 days. The reporters looked at each other. They didn't expect that there would be such a regulation in the barrier number 61. However, it is a good thing to ask everyone to return the lost money, but it is a little too strict. Although it feels weird, the direction is good. After the middle-aged man waited for the owner, he left. Jiang Su thought for a moment and said to the reporter beside him, "Let's stay here today. We need to observe slowly what barrier number 61 is like." But at this moment, Jiang Su looked up and suddenly found that it seemed that the surveillance cameras nearby had turned their direction early and were all aimed at them. Jiang Su tried to walk forward for more than 10 meters, and the cameras followed his steps and turned. He knew that these cameras had sound collection functions, so the conversation between them and the middle-aged man just now might have been recorded. I don't know why, although the passerby who just asked said that he was living well, Jiang Su always had an indescribable sense of weirdness. He is a free person. The definition of freedom is that you can make choices based on your own subjective initiative, but if this freedom is always monitored by others, it will always make him feel indescribable. But Jiang Su thought that it might be good for refugees to live well in this world, and refugees would not have such unnecessary worries. Jiang Su is not a pedantic person. If this artificial intelligence just monitors everyone, it can reduce the number of people starving to death, and he will not say much. After all, he cannot represent the refugees. Sorry, the plot content of this chapter involves a lot of plot structures later, so it took a little longer to consider. Chapter 721, Bandits Arrive. The barriers of AI management actually bring Jiang Su a sense of novelty. In the era he lives in, this magical barrier suddenly emerged. As a witness, Jiang Su wants to explore this strange world more deeply, whether it is positive or negative. After a whole day of visiting, everyone here is humble and honest. Jiang Su even saw someone leave the house without locking the door. He stood at the door of this family for 3 hours, and he didn't see anyone go in to steal. Passers-by, at best, just glanced at the open door and then continued to walk forward. A reporter whispered, "It seems that the AI governance barrier is indeed unique. I lost a bicycle in Los Angeles last month, but no one cared when I reported it to the Order Bureau." "So you wrote an article to discuss the Order Bureau," Jiang Su said calmly, "but I rejected the article." The reporter was a little embarrassed. "What I wrote is also the truth. The Order Bureau in Los Angeles will not care about some small things, and they will only care about major cases. Look at barrier number 61, the bicycles on the roadside are not locked. As the saying goes, you pay more attention to what you care about." Jiang Su has never paid attention to the bicycles on the roadside, but this reporter who lost a bicycle went to take a look. The bicycles on the road are indeed not equipped with chains. This barrier number 61 seems to have directly eliminated an industry, the lock-making industry. The reporter did not see as far as Jiang Su, So he felt that it would be nice to live in such a solid barrier. But Jiangsu suddenly said, "Are you starting to envy the life here? Everyone has food to eat, everyone has a job, and there is no need to worry about fighting and theft." Yes, Jizu nodded, it does feel bad to be monitored, but if artificial intelligence does not interfere with life, it is not particularly difficult to accept. In fact, you see, other consortiums also monitor people's lives, but it is not so direct. Ordinary people do not have real freedom. Jiangsu nodded. He agreed with this. This is also the reason why he did not express his disgust after discovering that the surveillance camera was monitoring him. It is the same everywhere. However, Jiangsu said, "I suddenly remembered a sentence. Holy rule is impossible to achieve, but the performance of holy rule is achievable." Coincidentally, the current head of the Wang family is called Wang Shengzi, which is a homonym of the holy rule in this sentence. Jiangsu continued, "Look, there's not even a beggar in barrier number 61. Everyone has his own things to do." Wang uses artificial intelligence to collect data and assigns work to everyone to ensure that they have food to eat and money to earn. But have you ever thought that if you are not satisfied with your work at Hope Media, you can resign and take a break for a while, but you can't rest here? Not really. The reporter was a little confused. He went to the side to find a passerby, and when he came back, he muttered, "It's really like that. The consortium assigns you to do whatever you want, and you don't have room for choice. So the art category has no soil to survive here, and everyone has no time to stop and think about what they really need, only what suits them." Jiangsu sighed, because artificial intelligence will not consider useless things. Its code of conduct is very purposeful, but humans are not like that. As a result, a refugee who passed by heard the conversation between the five of them, and smiled and said, "These days, it's enough to have enough food to eat. Can art provide food? We never considered art before when we were outside the barrier." Jiangsu was stunned for a moment, then bowed slightly to the passerby and said, "I've learned something." The reporter sighed. Perhaps this was the difference between him and the editor-in-chief. Jiangsu would never insist on what he thought was correct just to save face. The other party would be very willing to admit his mistakes, no matter who he was arguing with. Jiangsu and others in Los Angeles never considered whether they could have enough food. This was the most basic thing for them. So they could consider art and philosophy, but what about refugees? Editor-in-chief, what do you think of this artificial intelligence? The reporter asked. Jiangsu stood in silence on the street for a long time, and even the reporter could feel his contradiction. It was not until night fell that Jiangsu said, "Let's go. There is no need to continue the tour. Let time give us the answer." Just when Wang Shengzi left the northwest and returned to the central plains, Sule, the leader of the horse bandits in the northwest, was gnawing on a leg of lamb outside the number 144 barrier. This business with the grassland people made him realize for the first time that it was so happy to make money without robbery and rely on his own efforts. The furs Yan Limuan gave him were sold at a very high price at Fort 144, even higher than he imagined. After Fort 178 took control of the Northwest, the taxes were lowered, making daily necessities surprisingly cheap. This back and forth made Sule earn a huge difference, so much so that he was willing to take his brothers to eat roasted lamb legs. A brother said, "Brother, I see that the daily necessities you bought for the grassland people are all good goods. Why do you buy them such good ironware? Isn't it more profitable to buy cheaper ones?" Sule glanced at his brother and said, "Zhangguang, do you know why we can sit here and eat roasted lamb legs now? Of course it's because you are very smart and have a talent for business." Zhangguang flattered him. But Sule sneered and said, "It's not me that matters. It's all because the people of the grassland trust us and do business with us. Do you think the people of the grassland are stupid? The young man clearly knows everything about the South. If you want to fool them with something, they can always find someone else to do this business. Will you have anywhere to cry then?" Zhangguang was silent. Sule continued, "Look at Wang Fuge. He can enter and exit the barrier like his own home. Everyone is polite to him. Why? Because he holds the only lipstick business on the Northwest trade route. What about us? We now hold the only business leading to the grassland. As long as we work hard, sooner or later we can become big figures like Wang Fuge, understand? The most important thing in doing business is integrity. As long as we hold this business firmly in our hands, will we still worry about not having lamb legs to eat in the future? Don't think about taking shortcuts." "Okay, big brother," Zhangguang agreed. But the brothers around him have discovered that ever since the eldest brother was cleaned up and came ashore, he has become very knowledgeable in educating people. In this world, even horse bandits have begun to run their businesses with honesty and fairness. Isn't that scary? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 722: Sulei's New Business. This time, Sule sold all the furs. When he got the money, he even felt that his life was beginning to become a dream. Before this, he had never thought that he would have so much cash. In the past 2 days, Sule even slept with money as a pillow, until he deposited all the money in the bank that had just been opened in Fort 178. Only he knew the password. Then Sule began to sleep alone. He could not have anyone beside him when he slept, because he was worried that he would recite the account number and password when he was talking in his sleep. Sule bought a large amount of daily necessities at Fort 144. These were basically what the boy on the grassland asked for. It was just that Sule was too poor last time and did not buy enough. This time, in order to maintain a good relationship with the customer, he bought all the best. He believed that the young hero was a wise man, and he would know how much he, Sule, was attentive when he saw these things. He had also thought about what Zhang Gong said. Even if the ironware was bought cheaper, it was still ironware. But every time Sule recalled the boy's half-smile, he felt that it would be better not to deceive such a smart person. Not only that, Sule also took out a part of the money he got to buy gifts for the young hero of the grassland, including an exquisite revolver. It is said that this was the property of a high-ranking official of the Zhong family. The high-ranking official sold all his belongings and fled to the Wang family before the arrival of Fort 178. The other party did not want to sell the gun, but it was bought by the black market. The black market boss laughed and said, "Didn't you see how cowardly the grandson was at that time? He used to be high and mighty, but now he dares not even fart with a gun in his hand." Sule understood at this moment that some people are born sheep, and relying on the relationship of the Zhong family's in-laws to climb to a high position cannot change his nature. Nowadays, firearms are difficult to get, and places like the grasslands should be even more scarce, right? Sule wanted to keep this revolver for himself. He really liked this gun, but in the end he thought about it and put it back in the wooden box. The bottom of the wooden box was covered with velvet. Compared with future business, what is a gun? Sule has been trying to establish a relationship with the garrison troops of the 144th Fortress these days, but reality tells him that he is just a small figure now, and no one wants to pay attention to him. "Brother, why have you been getting close to those soldiers of the 178th Fortress these days? We are all horse bandits, so don't let them find out," said Zhang Gong. Kui Kaiang, who was standing by, was polishing his dagger. "Brother, of course, he has his own ideas. Why do you care so much?" Sule sighed. "The young hero on the grassland must want guns, and we want to resell arms. It will definitely not work without the support of the 178th Fortress troops, but it's still early now, so let's wait for another opportunity in the future." In fact, Sule knew very well that reselling some daily necessities was still only a small business. Places like the grassland did not have the ability to produce guns themselves, but which powerful ruler did not want to use weapons to consolidate his rule? Therefore, the arms business in the future can bring him to the peak of his life. At this moment, a man suddenly sat down opposite their campfire and said with a smile, "Hello, is this Sule?" When the man came over, Kui Kaiang had his dagger, and his muscles were tense, ready to rush out and kill people at any time. Sule patted Kui Kaiang's arm, and then looked at the man opposite and smiled. "Yes, I am Sule. Who are you?" The man smiled and said, "It doesn't matter who I am, but I heard that you are all from the grassland." "That's not the case, I just did a business with the grassland people," Sule said calmly. "Oh," the man took out 10,000 yuan from his pocket and stuffed it into Sule. "Tell me about the situation in the grassland, and this 10,000 yuan will be yours." Sule frowned. He suddenly felt an inexplicable sense of oppression in the other party's words. The other party just sat down casually, in the wilderness outside the market town of Fortress number 144, without any fear that the dozen of them might directly kill people. Kui Kaiang sneered, "You are so brave, but why would my elder brother tell you these things? Because my fist is bigger, the man said with a smile. Don't you see how many people we have here? Kui Kaiang said coldly. Oh, the man said with a smile, then look outside again. Sule turned his head in astonishment, and he suddenly found that the outside had been surrounded by dozens of people in plain clothes and armed with weapons. The black muzzles of the guns locked all of them within the range of the gunfire. This is a regular army. This must be a regular army. Could it be the troops of the 178th Fortress? No, if it was the people of the 178th Fortress, they would not need to wear plain clothes to deal with these little horse bandits. The man smiled and said, Sule, we used to be in the horse bandit town in the northwest, but now that town no longer exists. Only you survived and did business with the grassland people. Sule said calmly, this military lord, we haven't offended you before, have we? No, the man shook his head. Why do you want to scare us like this? Sule asked, since you came to our door, you must have some purpose. Just tell us directly. The lives of us horse bandits are worthless. Haha, you are a straightforward person. The man cut a piece of meat from the leg of the sheep. Let's talk about the grassland. We didn't go to the grassland either. We just delivered daily necessities to them at the agreed trading place, and then they gave us furs and other specialties, Sule said. Oh, are they powerful? The man asked. I don't know whether it is powerful or not, but I, Sule, can judge people very well. The person who makes the decision is very smart. I believe that even if he is not the largest force on the grassland now, he will be in the future, Sule said firmly. What does he want? The man asked. Daily necessities, ironware, and medicine, Sule said, but medicine is controlled here in Fort 178, and we can't buy enough even if we have money. Don't they want weapons? The man asked. Yes, but we can't buy them, Sule admitted honestly. The man smiled and said, Fortress 178 will not sell you weapons to help the grassland people, because if the grassland people become strong, they will definitely threaten the Central Plains. At that time, Zhang Jinglin will definitely not want to see the scene of rivers of blood. When Sule heard this, he was just a small bandit after all, and he didn't know much about the situation and the bigwigs of various forces, so he didn't know about this. Now he understands that it is impossible for Fortress 178 to sell them arms, and then his business will stop at daily necessities, which makes Sule a little uncomfortable. But then he heard the man change the subject, but 178 won't sell it to you, but we can. Let's get to know each other again. Hello, my name is Su Man. Chapter 723 New Deal. The railway between Qingxi and the northwest is still under construction, but the trade between the two sides has already started. When King Zhen was selecting the person in charge of this matter, he did not think of anyone else at all. Only Su Man was the most suitable. You know, Su Man was responsible for the execution of the bandits in the river valley earlier. It can be said that many of King Zhen's plans were perfectly executed in Su Man's hands. In the Qing family, it is far from enough for King Zhen to think about how to face this chaotic world every day. His foresight also requires a strong executor. Therefore, Su Man can now be said to be the highest person in charge of Qingxi's strategy in the northwest. The more important things these days are that Wang Fuge brought a caravan back from the Central Plains, and the amount of goods brought back made other merchants extremely envious. Some of Su Man's subordinates said whether to contact Wang Fuge and develop this person into a member of Qingxi. As a result, Su Man denied it with a strange look on his face. Others may not know Wang Fuge, but can he not know? This is not someone he can develop. Another important thing is that a batch of furs suddenly came. It stands to reason that it is just a batch of furs, not a strategic material, and it is not important at all. But Su Man still went there in person. When he saw the sand fox skin, he immediately realized that this batch of goods must have come from the grassland. When ordinary people hear about grassland, they just think of a group of nomads and barbarians, but Su Man knows Qing Zhen's worries. This grassland is of great significance to the Qing family. Just like Wang Shengzi went to the northwest to persuade Zhang Jinglin to help clamp down on the Qing family, Qing Zhen also needs someone to clamp down on the Wang family. Although the grassland is 180,000 miles away from the Qing family, the nomads on the grassland can reach the Wang family as soon as they go south through the 176 barriers. If such a geographical location is integrated by someone, it will disgust the Wang family just like the River Valley bandits disgusted the Yang family. As Su Man said, Zhang Jinglin would never do such a thing, because too many people would die at that time. But Qing Zhen has always been unscrupulous. The people he wants to protect are only the Qing family in the northwest corner. The life and death of other people has nothing to do with him. Therefore, Su Man found Su Lei. He wanted to send arms to the grasslands to help a certain big force complete the integration of the grassland. Su Man said straight to the point, "Your current business is too small, and I know very well that you will not be content to just sell some daily necessities, but you are destined to get no help at Fort 178, so you can only rely on us." "Where are you from?" Su Lei asked after a moment's hesitation. "It's not hard to guess," Su Man said with a smile. "If you can't even guess this, then I may have to find someone smarter to cooperate with." "Qing family?" Su Lei asked. To be honest, he really didn't expect that he would be approached by the Qing family's men. Su Man smiled and said, "Where did you trade?" Su Lei hesitated. He was a little worried that if he told Su Man about this, the other party would leave him alone and trade directly with the young man on the grassland. Su Man smiled even more. "Why, are you afraid that I will steal your business? Then forget it, just pretend that I didn't come to you today." However, Su Lei thought again. Qing Zhen's name was well known throughout the southwest and northwest, and the other party would never do meaningless things, so why would the Qing family help people on the northern grassland? There must be some conspiracy. Now Su Man has secretly found me. The Qing family's plan must not be known to others, and even the Qing family's people cannot come forward to do it. The Qing family needs an agent. Su Lei said, "It's on the bank of Xianmu River. The transaction date is coming soon. You can even send someone to go with me for the first transaction." Su Man patted Su Lei on the shoulder. "You are really a smart man. Don't worry. I will send 5 combat teams to go with you this time, but I won't do it next time. From the date of the first transaction, you will be a second lieutenant officer of my Qing family. If you want to retire one day, you can come to Qing family for retirement. Here is a way out for you. If you are discovered, intercepted, or captured during the transaction, we will not recognize your identity, but we will find a way to rescue you. You have heard of the name of my Qing family. We never let down those who work for us." These words made Su Lei a little happy. Just as Su Man said, in addition to Qing Zhen's great wisdom, the Qing family's reputation is most famous for how well the Qing family soldiers are treated, how united they are, and how caring Qing Zhen is for his subordinates. Did the Qing family fight with Hozhang a few years ago because Hozhang captured Qing Zhen's people? Now that Su Man has made a promise, it means that there is an extra way out. Su Man looked at Su Lei's expression and knew what was going on. He stood up and left. "Okay, pack up your things, follow me to receive the arms, and then set off to Shenmu River as soon as possible to complete the transaction." 7 days later, Su Lei and others quietly came to the bank of Shenmu River, quietly waiting for the young man to arrive. But it was already a day late, and no one had come yet. Beside the river bank, Su Lei had already upgraded his guns to a few more huge trucks, and Su Man was behind him, watching the transaction as Su Lei's subordinate. Su Man asked, "Why haven't you come yet? Maybe the grassland people have no sense of time, or there are important things that have delayed them." Su Lei said, "Last time they were 2 days late." As he was talking, the sound of horse hooves rang out on the ice of Shenmu River. Su Man turned his head and looked into the fog, and saw the silhouettes of a group of people and horses becoming clearer and clearer. Hassan rode his horse at the front of the team and greeted Su Lei from a distance. "Friend, I'm sorry for being late. My master asked me to bring his apology." Su Lei smiled and said, "It's okay. As long as it doesn't delay your master's business, it's okay for me to wait another month. But where's your master?" "My master has more important things to do, so I will be the one to trade with you in the future," Hassan said, looking at the people behind Su Lei. He suddenly became alert. "Brother Su Lei, these people were not in the last transaction." Su Lei explained with a smile, "These are the new subordinates I recruited, and I have a big surprise for you. I brought them what your master wants most." Hassan muttered, "Bring some cabbage and see how excited you are, Brother Su Lei." Su Lei was petrified, "Not cabbage." As he said that, he waved his hand and asked Su Qiang to bring out an automatic rifle, pulled a bolt and fired at the sky. The hot shells fell on the ice, burning small holes. Kui Qiang handed the gun in his hand to Hassan. Hassan looked at the heavy gun with joy. "My master said that you can definitely bring him a surprise." I didn't expect it to be true. Chapter 724 Happy Cooperation. No one dislikes weapons, especially in grasslands where fighting and killing are common all year round, and even tribes can be destroyed at any time. On the grasslands, whoever has a gun can speak more forcefully than others. In the early years, the reason why those big tribes became big tribes was because of this. However, the old and broken guns in the hands of the big tribes are simply incomparable to these brand new weapons in front of them, and the number is also incomparable. At this time, Su Man behind Su Lei took out an automatic rifle from a wooden box, aimed at a stone 100 meters away, and smashed the stone into pieces with 2 bursts of fire. The effective range of the firearms is 400 meters, and the maximum range is 600 meters, Su Man said. There are a total of 300 automatic rifles, 1,000 grenades, 20,000 rounds of bullets, and 2 heavy machine guns, equipped with 20,000 rounds of heavy machine gun bullets. It's mainly because we came in a hurry, otherwise we could have brought more. Let's do the transaction at this time next month. By then, even if you want a howitzer, we can get it for you. Su Lei was secretly shocked as he listened to this. It turned out that the people of the Qing family were so confident. They were even planning to transport howitzers to the grassland. Su Man smiled and said to Hassan, "Actually, we can get armored vehicles, but you probably can't build the supply lines needed for armored vehicles on the grassland, so it's not very useful to give them to you. It's not too late to talk about it when you unify the grassland in the future." Hassan looked down at Su Man on his tall horse. He suddenly laughed and said, "My master said that if the Southern Consortium is smart enough, then people from the consortium will come with this transaction. He didn't ask me who you are, but just told me to tell you that he likes to be friends with smart people." Su Man laughed. "Similarly, we also like to be friends with smart people. This batch of weapons is our gift for meeting." Su Lei, who was standing next to him, immediately looked bitter when he heard this. If he gave away these weapons, how could he make money? And Hassan also said, "Then we will give you the goods we brought this time as a gift for meeting you. You may come to the grassland as guests in the future. At that time, I, Hassan, will kill sheep and cattle for my new friends myself." "It's a deal," Su Man said. Su Lei was immediately happy. Hassan brought a lot of furs this time. Su Man would definitely not look down on these things, and they would all end up in his hands. Just being a broker once, he got such a high reward. Su Lei suddenly had higher expectations for the future. The reason why Su Man sent gifts was that these things might be needed by the grassland, and Su Lei also treasured them, but they were not worth much in the hands of the Qing family. He was talking about tens of thousands of bullets and hundreds of automatic rifles. What was this to the Qing family? To be honest, Su Man also found that the master Hassan mentioned was a smart man. What he wanted to find most now was a smart man. The matter of checking and balancing the Wang family could never be done without a smart person. At that moment, Su Man even regretted that he brought too few things. Both Su Man and Hassan were very satisfied with the deal, but Su Lei suddenly asked, "I'm afraid you don't have enough horses. These weapons are quite heavy. I wonder if you can transport them." Su Man also said, "If you have trouble transporting them, we can help you. Moreover, if you don't know how to use firearms, we can also send instructors." Su Man was eager for the grassland to be controlled by the other party as soon as possible, so that the other party could have greater ambitions to enter the Central Plains. As a result, Hassan smiled and said, "Let's talk about the instructors in the next transaction. As for how to bring the goods back, my master said before I set out that Su Lei would definitely bring a lot of things this time, so I also brought a lot of people here." As he said that, Hassan asked the tribesmen around him to take out a cow horn, and the melodious and sad horn sounded on the Shenmu River, as if to blow away the thick fog on the Shenmu River. Hassan was a little emotional. The master said that there would be people from the consortium this time, and there really did. The master said that Su Lei would bring a lot of things, so he specifically told him to bring more people and horses, and the result was just as the master said. The young hero was like a prophet who could always think ahead of Hassan. This mysterious plan made Hassan respect the other party as a god. Now, Hassan is Yan Liu's most loyal believer, and he feels that more and more people on the grassland will become as devout believers as him. Yan Liu's ability, as if born for this, makes the grassland people irresistible. At this time, the sound of horse hooves came from the north, and Su Man saw hundreds of strong men riding tall horses breaking through the fog and coming in front of them. Su Man is a soldier. He looked at these men, and the brave aura on them surprised him. At a certain moment, Su Man even wondered whether it was the right decision to provide weapons to the grassland. These people are born warriors. When Hassan returned with a full load, Sule stood beside Su Man and said, "What do you think?" Su Man glanced at Sule and said, "No need to use honorifics to me. Starting from the next transaction, you will have full decision-making power on all matters. You only need to report to me once after each transaction." "I have another question," Sule asked. "Is it worth it for you to send so many things out at once? The other party seems too smart. Will there be any problems if we send weapons to the north like this?" "I'm afraid he is not smart enough and can't even use the weapons in his hands well." Su Man smiled and patted Sule on the shoulder. "What I fear most is helping a fool. If you help a smart person, you give him 1 point of strength and he can use 10 of it. If you help a fool, you give him 10 points of strength and he can use 1 point, and the other 9 points are all wasted." "Then these furs," Sule said euphemistically. "It's all yours," Su Man said with a smile. "Qing clan never treats people who do things unfairly. But I have a question. You said before that the young hero knows the South very well? Do you have any clues? Has he been to the South before, or is he originally from the South?" Sule recalled carefully and said, "I guess he is from the South, because his skin is not as rough as Hassan's, but very delicate." Su Man fell into deep thought after hearing this. If the other party is from the South, why have we never heard of someone with such ability? At this time, Hassan was leading a team of hundreds of people to the northern grassland. Just a month ago, he was afraid that he really couldn't transport so many goods back, but now it was different. Their tribe also seized new opportunities under the leadership of the master, and the number of tribesmen suddenly expanded to several times more than before. He must hurry back to the tribe to help the master deal with the chaos in the grassland. Chapter 725 I don't know why fire caught you Khan. When Hassan led the team back to the tribe, he felt that he had only been away for less than 10 days, and the tribe had changed again. Before this, their tribe was so small that you could almost see the whole place at a glance, but now, the tents here are connected in a row, which looks quite spectacular. In just a few dozen days, Yanlin annexed 6 or 7 tribes of different sizes, completing a rare rapid expansion. But before Hassan entered the tribe, he saw 2 people running hurriedly. "Hassan, go back quickly, something happened in the big tent." Hassan squeezed his legs and rushed into the tribe with the men behind him. The so-called big tent was where Yanlin was. Some people said that something happened in the big tent, and it might be that Yanlin was in danger. The price of expanding too quickly is that internal stability is difficult to guarantee, because many people in the tribes that have just been merged may not really obey them, and they are not as loyal to Yanlin as Hassan, who is almost like a belief. On the way to the big tent, Hassan rode his horse. He suddenly found that many people were standing by the roadside and watching silently. "Raise your guns," Hassan said coldly. "Make a deep impression on these people." As he spoke, hundreds of men raised their guns at the same time and fired into the sky. The fierce gunfire startled the cattle and sheep of each tribe and made them scramble around, while the nomads of those tribes were terrified. They didn't know where Hassan got such sophisticated weapons from, but they knew that these weapons were enough to intimidate them. While Hassan and his men were shooting, all the nomads in the entire tribal camp were silent except for the gunshots and the neighing of livestock. This was submission in the face of power. The grassland is a place that worships the strong. If you are strong enough, everyone will obey you from the bottom of their hearts. Some children wanted to pick up the shells that Hassan and his men dropped on the ground, but they were held tightly by their parents, fearing that Hassan would kill people to scare others. When Hassan arrived in front of the big tent, he was shocked to find that the heads of various tribes were already standing outside the big tent. One of them looked at Hassan and continued to shout at the big tent, "I am a warrior who has fought 100 battles and the head of the Helai clan. Today I come to challenge you to see if you are qualified to be our Khan. Don't scare me with the guns of the Central Plains people, and don't scare me with a wolf pack. A man should believe in the power in his hands, not the external force. This is the difference between the grassland people and the Central Plains people today. If Yanlin was in the Central Plains, he had thousands of wolves and sophisticated weapons that no one else had. No one would dare to challenge him. In the eyes of the Central Plains people, that was stupid. But on the grassland, the head of the Helai clan was considered courageous in everyone's eyes. And if the head of the Helai clan won, they would look down on Yanlin from the bottom of their hearts. Even Hassan didn't know what to do when facing this matter. In theory, Yan Liwen must accept the challenge, but Hassan, out of loyalty to Yan Liwen, couldn't stand others provoking Yan Liwen like this. Heli clan, if you want a challenge, I, Hassan, can compete with you. The head of the Heli clan sneered and said, I'm not challenging you. At this time, Yan Liwen's voice came from the big tent. He asked curiously, what I don't understand is that even if you can defeat me, the gun is still in my hand, and the wolves will not leave me. What are you trying to do? You can't take away the power. Isn't this challenge meaningless now? The head of the Heli clan said fiercely, you colluded with the Central Plains people to destroy the rules of the grassland. I, Hele Batu, can't stand it. When did I collude with the Central Plains people? Yan Liwen said calmly. Where did you get this gun? And why did that group of Central Plains people capture our Khan? Hele Batu asked loudly. Yan Liwen said sadly, I don't know why the people from Huazhong want to capture your Khan. Once, the people from Huazhong Company came to their tribe, and Yan Liwen was ready to attack Huazhong Company, but he found that the other party was just asking for directions, and the target was the largest tribe on the grassland. At first, Yan Liwen didn't know what the people from Huazhong Company were going to do, but later he heard that the group of ruthless people from Huazhong Company actually captured the Khan of that big tribe. This incident made Yan Liwen confused for 2 days, and he couldn't figure out what Huazhong was doing. He knew that Huazhong Company liked to capture extraordinary people to extract gene samples, but how did they capture them on the grassland? Moreover, Huazhong Company helped Yan Liwen a lot without knowing it. Yan Liwen was confronting this big tribe, and the Khan was said to be an extraordinary person. If Huazhong Company hadn't appeared, then this big tribe would be the biggest stumbling block that hindered Yan Liwen from unifying the grassland. Of course, Yan Liwen was not afraid, but it would make his process of unifying the grassland very troublesome. Now, the stumbling block is gone, and he was captured by the Spark Company. In fact, even Yan Liwen himself felt that the Spark Company was just like someone he had hired with his own money. For some reason, ever since he had the idea of unifying the grassland, it seemed as if God was helping him. He asked Hassan to trade with Sule, but he brought back arms in the second trade. He wanted to eradicate the big tribe, but the big tribe soon fell apart. Now, the big tribe has been divided into 3 factions. The faction incorporated by Yan Liwen was excluded by the other 2 factions. They lost several battles and could only come to Yan Liwen in disgrace. It was only after arriving here that Hele Batu, who had established a firm foothold, was still unwilling to accept Yan Liwen, which led to today's challenge. They had not seen wolves in these days, and even began to doubt whether the wolves were real. But at this moment, exclamations came from outside the tribe, and a large number of tribesmen began to run into the camp. Hele Batu turned around and saw that the entire tribal camp had been surrounded by countless wolves. The Wolf King with Snow White fur walked into the tribe alone. He did not hurt anyone, but his invisible majesty made everyone stand back. Finally, the Wolf King lay down in front of the big tent and began to rest as if nothing had happened. Yan Liwen walked out of the big tent. He stroked the Wolf King's neck with a smile, and the Wolf King closed his eyes and rested comfortably. This was the first time that the tribes had seen the Wolf Pack and the Wolf King after they surrendered to Yan Liwen. They were so shocked that they were speechless. Yan Liwen looked at Hele Batu and smiled. You just think I look weak, so you want to use a challenge to destroy my dignity, but you made a wrong calculation. I accepted your challenge, but I ask you again, have you thought about the consequences? Hele Batu's face was boiling with blood. He was silent for more than 10 seconds and then said, I have thought it through. Have a meal, there will be another chapter later. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.